Hey, good evening, Stunthangar fans. This is Rusty, as usual, from Stunthangar Control Line Forums, and welcome to our Hangout show every Monday and Friday night. We're on at the same time, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time, and tonight is March 11th. Whoops, hang on, let me forums and welcome. Had to quiet myself there. Anyway, tonight is March 11th, 2019, and welcome to the show. We got a couple of people out there watching us, so do my usual intro while we're waiting for some video visitors to come on in. And the links are posted. The link to the live chat where you can come in here with your camera and microphones posted in the At the Bench thread if you are logged into Stunthangar Control Line Forums and you scroll down to streaming videos and the sub forums called At the Bench, and we're the top post because I don't post it until the very second the show starts. So you can click on the link there to come in here with your camera, give me a minute to approve you and let you into the show. And as for the rest of the people who would prefer to use the chat box on the YouTube watch page, that's on the Stunt Hanger Control Line, the video, or excuse me, YouTube page. And there's a chat box there where you can type and carry on in our conversation too. And I'll try to include you into our video conversation. And it looks like we've got Chris Hornady coming in live. Hang on while I approve you, Chris. And there you are now approved. How's it going, Chris?
What's up, Rusty? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, not much. Just doing my intro. Let me polish that off and then I'll get back with you.
Yes, sir.
Um, but anyway, like I said, the chat box is posted. And for you guys using the chat box, if you are feeling generous, don't forget about that $sign at the bottom of it. It's called Super Chat, where you can make a donation, which goes to Sparky for server fees and to keep the show up and live and hopefully free forever. And we hope that's the case. And I get a little ching on that too, and I'll show you later on what I bought with my latest ching from the super chat. I got that chop saw I've been talking about for 2 years now, and it's sitting on the table next to me. So when show and tell time comes, I'll show you that. And one last thing is for the video visitors that are in here, um, please try to be aware of the film strip of pictures of our guests at the bottom of the video window. And this is just for the people that are live with their cameras. And whoever makes the most noise gets the priority screen with their picture enlarged. And try to keep an eye out when you see somebody holding something up that they might want to show us, or when it looks like somebody's itching to get a word in edgewise. How about just let's use a little forum etiquette and make sure you cut them enough slack to get a word in, because like I said, whoever makes the most noise win. And some people are more authoritative than others, and so just keep that in mind, and just be aware of our guest. Gary Sinclair just joined. Good evening, Gary. Glad to see you tonight. I'll be talking to you shortly because I think we've exchanged a couple of emails. Meanwhile, Chris Hornady joined us, and you in your workshop tonight, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm just kind of working on this video a little bit. Figured I got a couple questions maybe when Mike joins in and stuff like that. Kind of talk over some ideas with this build. But yeah, just piddling around.
Yeah, and Sparky built about six of those things last summer too. So
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking at maybe trying a electric voodoo. So I know the weights and stuff will be a little weird, but it might be worth a shot. I don't know.
there's nothing wrong with trying anything, and I think we Mike offered a couple of his opinions about electric on the combat planes the other night, I think, but as far as I can tell, the electric engines are just as powerful as the IC engines. But I think Mike had some uh, added opinions on that. But yeah, anything's worth a try.
Yeah, yeah. And as I say, I'm never going to fight competition combat or anything like that. It's more or less just a test bed. A friend of mine is building a, single channel radios for. He wants to try and do like throttle governed electric.
Yeah,
So he's a electronics nerd. So this is kind of more going to be a test bed for that than anything.
I don't see why that would be a problem at all. The main concern with lipos on a combat plane is midair collisions and
Yeah,
batteries lighting off. So,
yeah. They
yeah,
make a boom.
yeah, those batteries are a little scary sometimes, but if you're not bashing them up like they do in the competition, then that's probably just as safe as anything else.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, whether or not they've got the grunt to make the climbs and turns, I don't see why not. I, you know, just
They're
have to.
torquey. I mean, the Outrunner motors are torquey little motors. The one I'm using is a, Rimfire 400, which I had on a, Super Chipmunk before I put it in the ground, a RC, and it would take that 30-ounce RC vertical until you ran out of, you lost sight of it. So
Yeah,
and I mean, you could haul on it pretty hard and it would maintain. So I don't know. It's worth a try. Honestly, it's just I'm making this all out of a bag of balsa I had left over from Balsa USA, so it's not like I really have any money in it either. So
yeah. I was about to ask you if you were building from kits or if you just had scratch and plans.
I've never built control line from kit before. I don't know. I guess I've just been too lazy to order anything from Brodak or anywhere. But it's so easy to get on that outerzone.uk and pop off a set of plans there real quick. And I mean, maybe something more intricate like a smoothie or something like that would be
Yeah.
something you want to get for. But
I've built a few simple planes scratch like a little P-51 Mustang that I built to the specs they had for the postal read speed contest on Cox Engine Forum, and that turned out really nice. And my little Satan is also, I had a kit that I had bought back in the 90s, maybe even 80s, and it had been cannibalized down to where there was nothing left but a handful of ribs and the plans. And so I used the pictures and pretty much scratch built that from plans. And that one's been a real good plane for me. It's my favorite flyer, and I've been flying it for ages.
yeah,
And so that's about it for scratch building for me. I mostly build from kits, and I've done a couple of ARFs, but I don't really enjoy doing ARFs. They're a pain in the ass, if you, in my opinion, because the parts that are already put together aren't put together like I like them. You know,
yeah, that's one of those I want to get in the air real quick. Let's go type deals. And it's a hobby, so it's whatever aspect of the hobby you want. Honestly, I build more than I fly. That's why I have an All American Senior and a Twister and a flying ground clown that have never been maidened.
yeah.
But it's it's what you want out of the hobby. ARFs just don't do anything for me. But if you despise building and you just want to get on the handle, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good option, and that's the reasons that I've gotten ARFs before too. Because when I wanted to try full fuselage, which I had never flown, I'd only flown profiles. My first was an ARF Oriental, and that was a great starter for me. And I did learn that when you crash a full fuselage model, it's a hell of a lot more
It's
repair work than there is crashing a profile.
it's definitely a lot more work, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of given up on them right now. This little half A plane I'm building, the Hyper Viper, is a full fuselage kit, but it's CNC cut out of a solid block, and it's not like it's got formers and sheeting to make
Yeah.
the
So
fuselage.
it's kind of more of a molded than anything.
Yeah, right. And I'll be talking about it tonight because I made some progress on it this weekend.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting to work all weekend, so gotta love that. Finally, you have an off day.
Jack Snavely just joined us on YouTube. Good evening, Jack. One of our Kansas contingent. I'm hoping Mike will come in maybe and talk about some combat stuff some more, and yeah,
Yeah.
we need some. We don't have anybody that comes in to talk about carrier and not that much about racing. We've got some guys that have done some racing, team racing, that sort of thing, and speed once in a while. There's a few guys that can talk about that, but I don't remember ever having a primary carrier pilot come in here and join us. But
I'll try and get my stepdad on one night or something when he's around. He's a carrier guy. He really likes that.
I got a couple of people in my club. I was going to mention it this past meeting, but no, the carrier contingent didn't show up that day. So I'm going to see if I can recruit some of them to come on the show because
Yeah.
Will Davis has started posting some of these videos that we do in the online newsletter. And so hopefully the club's getting some exposure to us too.
But yeah, I don't know. The big thing with this is, I guess I need to. Actually, I'll probably go and go get the scales here soon. I need to start doing some weighing of what a 36X or a nine whatever with more of a standard motor for this plane, and then start weighing all my electric and electrical components and all that stuff to kind of see what my weight and balance
Yeah,
is gonna look.
try to hit it in the same general area.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
balance too with the batteries. The weight's in a completely different place than the motor on the electrics.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing about the Voodoo, and that's kind of why I wanted to stick with it a little bit because the fuel is or fuel or battery weight, whichever one, is center of gravity. It's CG. It's on the CG.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So because it's down inside the wing, so I'll probably just end up, if I do electric, make a little wing hatch for the battery to go down inside the wing, keep that at the same spot, and then the Voodoo's had a the nacelle off to the inside of the motor mount.
Yep.
I was thinking about maybe either doing sanding down a, piece of foam and doing a, fiberglass molded nacelle, or just hollowing out a piece of balsa to put my ESC in there.
Yeah, and
Just kind
depending
of
on,
keep it clean.
well, yeah, you got to use you just got to be creative when you're coming up with some,
Yeah,
ideas like that.
yeah,
As,
yeah,
as far as the bladders go, even you have to decide which type of bladder you're going to use before you build a compartment for it. The
yeah,
ones that flew on the old planes with the pacifiers, which I didn't realize anybody still used, but they do. It's a big bulbous hump in the wing that you build for it
yeah.
because the bladders they grow like a ball rather than like a bratwurst, which some other ones do.
Yeah, that was what I guess is the other day Mike was showing me on his Voodoo that he had, where somebody had hardened a toilet paper roll and put
Yeah,
ball end caps in it for the fuel
yeah.
bladder, and that
You
was
know,
pretty. That was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah,
That
you know
I,
what else a lot of them use is you can go down to Lowe's and you can get plastic protector sleeves for fluorescent lights and cut those up into sections and do the same thing, epoxy a plug into the end caps of it, and then it's a great fuel proof container.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that idea as well. But there are all kinds of different ways to go. I'm kind of at the point now where I got to make up my mind what I want to do. So I figured I'd hop on here and get some advice and see if it was more of a feasible idea. So we'll see what some of the other guys got to say about it.
Yeah, yeah, we got 7 or 8 different guys, so you might get 7 or 8 different opinions.
Exactly right.
Here comes our second visitor, Steve Hines. Let me let old Steve in. Hey, Steve, let us have your microphone. There you go. How's it going tonight?
Oh, not too bad. How about with you guys?
Oh, we're okay. We're just hitting our groove. We got Chris Hornady in here with us, working on some voodoos,
Oh, okay.
doing some electric experiments, thinking about going electric with them. And we touched on that the other night. Hopefully, we'll get some voodoo experts in here and talk electric options for that.
Oh, for the voodoo?
Yeah, not for competition, just for sport flying, because it was clear when Mike was talking to us the other night that electric's not good for competition because of the hazards of lipos and mid-air collisions and that sort of thing.
I'm trying to remember how they did the battery and stuff for that little electric combat plane that Brodex sells.
I hadn't even looked at that. I know they've got a, a one or two models. If you've never been into electric before, they come with everything you need to get you set up and running the first time. But I hadn't looked. I hadn't ever seen the plans for them.
That I forget. John had like 100 of them made up, just to have them made up or whatever.
Just to check the interest in the flying community.
2 years ago, a bunch of people flew them there at Brodak. They brought out 2 or 3 of them. Dennis and they flew good. Sparky flew one, and I thought, Sparky be on here, but I'm not exactly sure how he put where the battery went to hold it. If they cut like a deal on the wing and it slid back in the wing.
Well, Steve, on this Voodoo here, it's the fuel tank is in this compartment right here. So here's the center line right here. And the fuel tank's in this compartment right here, built in. So kind of what I was thinking is just do a hatch in the top of the wing.
Oh, yeah. that great big one off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be how I'm trying to.
Take you 850 milliamp without a problem. And an 850 milliamp, if you aren't running all those servos and everything, that should get you a 4-minute flight out of Park 400 Flyer, no problem.
Yeah, I think so. You don't need, and it's hard to believe you don't need that big of a motor.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was, like I was saying earlier, I was kind of doing some math and stuff with what I had this motor on before, and it was probably about 5 ounces heavier than what this plane would come out to, and it'd pull that plane vertical all day long. So
yeah.
So
speaking of bladder compartments, Jeff Riley over on YouTube says the cardboard tubes from golf grips work good too. So golf shop.
A little smaller diameter than a toilet paper holder. That'd be, yeah.
Definitely. I'm not even sure what he's talking about. Is that something like when you're making clubs that the grips come in when you buy a grip to add to a club? Is that what he's talking about?
I'm not on YouTube, so I didn't see exactly what he said, but yeah, if that's what he's talking about, yeah, they have. It's just a cardboard tube.
Yeah,
a little bit smaller diameter, probably possible.
Maybe so. Yeah. Main thing is you just make sure it's big enough so you don't get any false pressure from it squeezing against the sides. Because
exactly.
as soon as you start using fuel and the false pressure is relieved a little bit, then your engine goes lean. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as I say, the bladders is a whole new world to me. My stepbrother.
Well, once you get used to them, they're extremely easy to work with, and I always say once you go bladder, you'll never go back because once you know where your needle is set, it never really changes except for just minute adjustments, and finding the right needle is easy too. And with the half ace, I just open mine enough to make sure it's too rich, and then crank it, and as it starts running and starts to get too wet, you can pinch the tube to keep the engine running and adjust the needle till you can let go of the tube and it stays running. And that's pretty much it. Fine tune it from there and you're good to go. And I demonstrate that on my videos, my cranking and running of bladder videos. I've got a building video and a cranking and running video.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Is that on Stunthangar's YouTube or is that on?
No, that's on my Rusty K Control Line YouTube.
All right, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, bladders is a new world to me.
And with half A's, I just use a little piece of uh, uh, surgical tubing, and it's not even a 1/4 inch outside diameter, but it blows up to the size of a Johnsonville brat and then grows long like that. Maybe not quite even that big around. And I don't make any compartments for them. I just suspend them inside of I got a mesh bag with the accessories in it once when I bought a toolkit. Well, actually, it was the toolkit that came with a electric power sprayer, and I've been cutting that bag up into little squares and rolling it up, and then using that as my bladder compartment, and it works great.
Hmm.
And I just hang it under the wing. Or now that I've gotten to where I don't care about the aesthetics so much, I just put it on top of the wing, and then tie a piece of string to the rear end of that mesh bag, and then wrap it around the fuselage and knot it so it doesn't flop around. And I put a foremost one-way valve in the tail of it instead of a plug, and that way, when it's time to fuel it, you just jam the syringe in its ass end and pump it up.
That's
Works
good idea.
great.
What do you run those on mostly? Are you running 35s or
No, I'm talking about half A,
half A,
Norvels and
TD stuff like that?
TDs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Norvels and TDs. The half A takes a bigger, heavier duty bladder, and you can go with either the pacifier, or they make some pretty strong rubber tube. And I don't know what it's originally purposed for, but Ken Cook from Philly Flyers sent me some, and and a lot of the other guys use it too. But and it grows fat and long. It grows fat and long too, instead of big and bulbous like a tennis ball.
Okay.
Yeah, surgical tubing.
Is that what that big stuff is too? Is that surgical tubing too,
Yeah,
Steve?
yeah. That's what they said, and they told me before it was surgical tubing, and it blows it up somehow. I thought Mike might have been on here by now, but um,
Yeah, he might be watching us, but he's got he's an hour earlier, so he could be putting the kids to bed or whatever. And maybe if he comes in, it might be later. Oh, let's see. Slingshot tubes. Jeff Riley said slingshot tubes work nice for half A. That's kind of a big tube for half A, but yeah, anything will work. I mean, it doesn't matter how much pressure it puts out, the needle valve will tame it to whatever you need. The smaller tube is probably a lighter pressure, and I bet that makes it a lot easier to needle than the big, heavy, high pressure stuff. But it's just a matter of what you got. You can make it work. And
are there a lot of people on YouTube at all, or
we got Jeff Riley and Jack Snavely and Pat and Gary Sinclair are on YouTube right now, and we got 13 watching. And I believe that does not include us three. So
yeah, I don't know the whole thing for sure, but I heard that Big Art died today at a mission.
yeah.
Oh,
What
you
do you
already?
mean? What about him?
He died today.
Oh no, really? I don't know him, but I hear his name a lot. Where is he located? Was he located?
He was here from Michigan, and that's where like Billy Warwich and all them come to his house and build airplanes back when they got started. Him and
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, and in fact, I've seen him in videos, even with Wendy, I think. Um, but in the shop building. But so he was, uh, uh, his specialty was building airframes as opposed to being an engine expert. Not
No,
that you can't be both, but
he did engines and all that stuff too. Big Art did engines and everything back in the day.
uh,
But
um,
all the Admission boys. I mean, they won beginner as kids, and Dennis is the last junior senior. As a senior, to win the Walker Cup. He beat everybody there at the Nats. Dennis did when he was 21, his last year.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear he's
But
passed on. Our
thing on,
sympathies go out to his family and friends.
but Dennis was the one that did all the electric stuff there for Brodak.
Hmm.
He was an engineer, and he does all the electric conversions and all that kind of stuff. And Archie, I think Archie does now. He flies. Him and his kids fly Pylon, I believe.
Art used, according to John Skukelak, Art used to run the Michigan State meet.
Yeah, I know none of him for years and stuff, so I wasn't 100% sure. I know they were from Detroit, but I think he did the Detroiter. There's a stunt ship or something called the Detroiter, and there's a few airplanes that he designed and stuff. Back in the day, in the '60s and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
and then John Brodak bought out his tongue mufflers, the big art tongue mufflers.
Mm-hmm.
Brodak still makes them. So
So that there were a bunch of Adamson brothers.
yes, yep. Three of them, three or four. I'm not sure how
Okay.
many.
Yeah. So we got Art, Dennis, and
Archie.
Archie. Yeah.
Yeah. Art was the dad, and then Dennis, Archie. I'm trying to think the other one's names, but I think they rat raced and all kinds of stuff with Control Line.
Yeah.
Probably
John says he's got an OS 35 reworked for Stunt from Art. John came in here live one night with us. I'm not sure. Can't remember if he had bandwidth problems or something. Oh, T-Bone's in here. Hey, Tom. Tom Luciano, T-Bone, says T8 fluorescent protectors and bladder material from Phil Cartier of Corehouse or pacifier. All need 2 and 3/8 ball size compartment. T8 bladder recommended for voodoo. T8 bladder recommended for voodoo. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the T8 type tube that's the fluorescent type is a T8 fluorescent. The tube protector tube that goes on it is the best thing to use for a voodoo, according to Tom. Everybody's got their mic muted now.
Yeah, I'm sanding and stuff. I don't want to be overpowering anybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's one thing our video guests have to be aware of is when they're making a lot of noise to mute the mic so it doesn't keep showing their workshop. Oh, let's see. Mike Leinke just chimed in. Dennis worked at Joe's Hobby Shop in Detroit, and Mike said he used to see him working there when he was a kid and rode the bus down there to buy fuel and glow plugs.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
We were just talking about you a minute ago. So how you doing, T-Bone? You been getting any flying weather up there in New Jersey? Bob Hunt told me I had to call it New Jersey. If I was going to say it, I needed to say it right. Hadn't seen Bob in here lately.
Yeah, I don't know where Bob's been. He's probably been working. This is a busy time for him.
Yeah.
Ordering wings and stuff like that. So
yeah,
who knows what he's up to right now?
Yeah, and he might not want to come talk about the same stuff every time too. So people come, people go, and it keeps variety, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
T-Bone says there's snow on the ground still up in New Jersey.
In Michigan also. And it's not even Jersey. I forget, in Grand Rapids, which is south of us, they said there is a little over an inch. Then going towards the lake, it goes from 7 to 12 inches still on the ground. And up here, I'd say we have 6 to 7 still on the ground. But it was nice today. It was 33 and the sun was out and it seemed warmer, but it wasn't. We're supposed to get to 60 on Thursday.
Oh, nice. It was 80 here yesterday.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're seeing about mid-70s, but rain all the time.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. 51 on Wednesday and 61 on Thursday. Rain both days.
What part of Florida are you in, Chris?
I'm just in the Panhandle in Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had a great time. The only time I've spent a lot of time in Florida was a week with my friend who was stationed at Fort Walton Beach on the helicopter base, Hurlburt Field,
Yeah,
and we
right
went
down the road.
fishing. Had a great weekend. I caught some Spanish mackerel, and but I had got there right after a tropical storm had messed the water up, and so we were catching a lot of sargassum weed and a little. I call them peckerheads. I think they're really called pinfish. Were biting everything you threw out there, and they're such a pain in the ass. But I did manage to catch a few Spanish. I watch fishing down in Florida on YouTube and on the channel on the TV network. I don't remember if it's Direct or Dish. We get it. Dialysis has a Sportsman network, and they show fishing in Florida on that a lot. And I tell you what, man, they catch the same stuff, some of the same stuff I catch up here in the South Carolina coast, but talking about, I mean, they're pulling in, they call them redfish. I call them spot tail bass, but they're too big for me to put my hands on the screen. I mean, they're catching some big damn spot tails, and the ones I catch are, like this, and I call that a big fish. But man, you got to eat your Wheaties before you go out there and throw the bait in the water in Florida.
Yeah, I got a good friend of mine. He's a big spear fisherman, and he'll come pulling those things. He'll come out of the water with those things. He'll go down and spear them and fight them down there and all that crap. I'm like, yeah, you can have that.
Now, are you originally from Florida? Or you're there because you're stationed there?
I'm here because I'm stationed here. I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh, all right. I wasn't too far from Chattanooga when I was in college. I was in Atlanta. How far is that? About 80 or 90 miles? Is it more than that?
Yeah, maybe right around 100. Yeah.
Mm.
So not bad. We go down there a lot. Heck, I flew up to Atlanta the other day. I just bored and I hadn't flown my plane in probably a month, so I just went up to Aircraft Spruce just to spend some money.
What kind of plane you got?
I got a 1947 Cessna 120.
Oh, all right.
So
I'll have to look that up because as much as I love planes, I can't keep them all in my head. So I'll look the 120 up and see what it looks like.
It's the predecessor to the 150. It's a tail dragger 150.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
My brother, and the only Cessna I can look at and identify as my brother-in-law's got a 182.
Oh yeah, those are nice planes.
Yeah, he just had it refitted with modern controls and displays. It's a nice plane.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. When you start getting into that nice glass cockpit and all those new GPSs and all that stuff, that's really nice.
Yeah.
But I get
Glass is good, but when you get into an emergency, sometimes an active push button is a hell of a lot easier to get your finger on without having to look at it.
yeah.
I find that to be the case with my controls in my car. It's got glass display and so they're harder for me to hit.
Yeah, you need a lot of time in the cockpit when you start flying glass, just because, especially with your you change your button set to do different things and all that. So
yeah, that's right. Smart buttons.
Yeah.
Rusty.
We got Doug Bright just joined us. Hey, Doug.
Howdy.
What's going on tonight?
I'm just playing with one of the Stabilizers and elevators for the two for the show plane.
Hold it still a second. Let me see those hinges. What are those Robart hinges you got in there?
Yeah, little hinge points.
Yeah. How do you find those? Are they difficult to get lined up and operating freely?
No, this was my first shot at them. And, I didn't have any real instructions for them, and I muddled through okay. My only problem is I think I have too much epoxy in the hinge line, but
Oh, is it cricking and cracking when you move it?
yeah, I gotta get the epoxy peeled out,
Yeah.
and it'll be okay. But that's not a fault of the hinge or anything.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with that. I've done that with the pin hinges too, the little
But
tubular flat ones.
they're very smooth.
Yeah.
And quiet. They don't click like pin hinges generally.
We got Mike joining us. Hang on while I let him in.
yeah. I never had good luck with them robot hinges. I've tried twice and ended up having to remake the damn elevator twice.
This is the other thing that I purchased, but I haven't opened yet and used because I got it after I already drilled for these.
Yeah, I got that
drill jig for the hinge points. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can drill
So,
it straight hole.
you
second
can try
time
that on.
I did it. I used that and it still didn't work, but I was
Oh,
that you have to go a little bit. They use a number drill or something and open the hole up a little bit more. So everything is perfect. And then you epoxy them in and move them and make sure that they're at, you got to use,
Yeah, I want to get a set of numbered drill bits. I do not have one, and once in a while, it's nice to have. You don't have to have one, but it really is nice to have when something calls for it.
but I got friends, in control line that a lot of them use them, but I just never had good luck. I get them in there a little bit wrong or crooked or something and it binds and
Yeah. Hey, Mike, what's going on, man?
What's going on? Oh, Steve, we had a late one the other night, didn't we, man?
oh my God, I felt like hell when I
Oh,
got.
y'all kept going. Man, that show
4
was
o'clock.
almost 5 hours long before I signed off.
It was 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning here in Nashville when I went to bed.
Yeah,
Holy
we got
crap.
off. We talked about everything. He had trophies out and
Yeah, we went to the
names
big
on 'em.
trophy and the junior trophy, looking at old names, talking about old people. Plus, we solved all the problems in control line stunt in that one conversation.
Yeah,
It's too bad that wasn't recorded.
long as they listen to us this year at the AMA when they hold their meetings and stuff, they'll have no more problems once me and Mike's done with our little presentation and
Yeah.
the
We
whole.
sorted it all out, man. I can't
Yeah.
remember any of it. But I think
now all
we
they
sorted
need
it
to
all
do
out.
is run Pinewood Derby at the Nats.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we got to go to the flipping regionals again, man. He won the damn thing. So I hate going to the regionals.
All right.
There's so many. There's over 100 kids there, and I got put to work last year weighing cars, and they gave me a scale. And you know the rules: 5 ounces. I had so many dads cussing me out and pissed off at me because their cars were overweight.
Because their scales didn't say it was overweight, right? But yours did.
My scale at home has been certified by the National Atomic Laboratory. It's dead nuts on to 1 Newton, and I'm like, dude, man, this is what they gave me. The rules say 5. The guy told me anything over 5, I can't register it. Take some weight off it. You and half the other dads. So yeah, I don't want to get put in that. I'm not working it again because I'm telling you, man, they were like ready to throw rotten tomatoes at me and shit, man.
Well, the one time we had a Dremel with a burr tool on there.
Yeah.
There you
and
go.
sit there and go back because everybody's,
Well, if they're smart, what I do, the last quarter ounce of weight, I always do my car for 5 ounces, but the last quarter ounce I put in 0.5 increments.
Yeah.
So if I got to pop 2 or 3 off to get under, you can just take an X-Acto knife and just pop them off. You know,
Yeah.
these guys bury their weights in their cars, and then they don't want to be cutting on their cars. And I'm like, man, it ain't my problem. But anyway, I heard you talking about the Brodak Gladiator. So I got mine down to show, Rusty. Electric stuff you guys was talking about.
Yeah.
I thought you had seen this before, Rusty. Maybe not.
Well,
Let me,
maybe I have.
Camera turned around.
I can't remember about half of what I've seen before.
In your bedroom?
Hang on, let me
So
on you.
you gonna present?
Yeah.
Chris,
That's
the Brodak Electric Gladiator half-A combat plane. Okay. It's got
All
a
right.
1200 kilovolt motor. The motor's off it right now because I've got it on another airplane. But it runs the 3S battery pack, 1300 3S, and it goes in the wing right here. And then that little cover comes down and closes the hatch. The issue with it is this is not a very robust model. It's a well flying model. They're trim nice and they fly good. For somebody who knows how to fly, it's an excellent package. Definitely not for a beginner. The leading edge is just molded EPP foam, and it's got a balsa spar. If you hit the ground with this, the motor mount tears off, and the battery just basically shoots right through the front of the leading edge.
That sucks. Yeah, the reason we were talking
about thing I wanted to bring up, since you're doing this electric stuff, and you just mentioned it, there was 13 something kilovolt motor. People say, my God, they have 13,000 volts in them motors. I'm like, nope, that's not what that means.
Yeah, it's not.
So,
But anywho, it flies good, but it's not robust. And if one crash, the airplane's a baggie. They're not really
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the reason we were talking about that's because Chris is experimenting with an electric combat sport plane, Voodoo, actually. And I think he said he had some questions for you if you came on tonight. So.
And I heard the part about you wanting to do a single channel, a throttle or something like that. Chris, I got something else. You guys have all seen it a couple of times.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
This is actually, that is the Brodak motor right there. That's the one that comes on the Gladiator. And I built this for Sam. And Chris, this just has a, now instead of having a timer on this one, I plugged it. Let me show this again. That's the timer for the Brodak airplane. So when you push that button, you get 3 minutes of flight time on there. Gotcha. And then the motor shuts off at 3 minutes. So I replaced that with just a 2.4 receiver, okay, plugged in. And then we used, where the hell did I put it? Here it is. This is an RC car throttle, Chris. You can buy these on eBay for $22. This
Gotcha.
is the Fly Sky, the Hobby King car radio, and it comes with the receiver. So that receiver and this was $22, and you just plug that into your ESC, and then you can.
So just don't use a timer; just use that instead.
Yep, and you can set the endpoints there on the throttle if you want to limit it, and then you just use the trigger.
Cool.
Use the trigger. Now I've seen some guys have actually turned this into a handle too. There's guys out there that make brackets or take the guts out of them and do all kinds of stuff. But that's an option if you want to throttle something.
Okay.
For $22, you can't beat it. You know?
It looks like it would be kind of a cumbersome handle. I believe I'd rather hold it in the other hand.
Yeah, well, it's not real control line anyway. So
Dick Imoff, he made one and it hung around the guy's neck. And he had COPD real bad. He was a machinist and he was really good at it, but from that oil, he never smoked or anything, and his lungs went bad. And he'd get faint sometimes out in the circle, and it got him 2 more years of flying. So just nail it. He'd fly whatever. If he got real winded and stuff like that, he'd land.
Yeah.
And but it got to where he couldn't even do that. But still, he got a couple more years of flying.
Of all the bad things that can happen to you, not being able to breathe's got to be at the top of the list.
Yep. Yep. I know, man. When I was in really, really bad pain, the muscles in your diaphragm and everything contract, or you're clenching because of the pain. Well, they alleviated some of that pain in me finally, and that part of my body could relax. Well, it felt like I was suffocating because I had more room to expand, but I wasn't using the muscles to do it. And
Yeah,
God,
your diaphragm had gotten weak, I guess, hadn't it?
well, yeah, or something. And I had more room that I could breathe into, and I wasn't used to breathing that deep. And man, I thought I was going to die. Like crap, because I got used to breathing shallow.
Did it gradually strengthen back up?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No big deal.
Hey,
Big
Steve,
mess.
John Skukalik wants to know where north of Grand Rapids are you?
Cedar Springs.
That answers that.
It's
Okay.
Did anybody fly this weekend?
Oh,
No.
we did.
All right.
We flew yesterday.
Oh, tell us about it.
So did we.
It was
Oh, go ahead. Doug, you go first.
okay. I flew the All-American Senior 2 times, and Pat flew a couple of different airplanes, a lot more than I did. But my sciatic nerve is out again. Dang it! It's always something, seems like. But anyway, I got 2 good flights with my All-American. He had some pretty good flights with his airplanes. If he pops on here, maybe he can elaborate.
Okay, Mike, what about you? Did you get flying this weekend?
We did. We made in the Mustang yesterday.
Oh, finally.
We put up about 5 flights on that. And then we flew some RC with the slow stick, flew a bunch of that. And then we took some combat planes, and Sam and I flew about 6 matches. And that was it. I took the SV-22 with the 65, but even though the weather was nice and there was no wind, the field was a swamp. It was a swimming pool out there.
Oh.
So we were flying in our rubber boots. It's even when we were flying combat, flying the Mustang, the field was just so wet and boggy that I wanted to fly the SV, but I didn't because the conditions the field was bad. So, but we flew some matches.
My niece
put on a show. Actually, there's supposed to be one of the RC guys out there. Of course, there's a lot of drone guys there. One of the drone guys was flying a drone overhead while Sam and I were flying combat matches, and he had an altimeter on the damn thing. And I told him, 60 feet, 65 feet is as high as we go. And he brought that thing down to like 80 feet. So he was just within 20 feet of the airplanes doing overheads and stuff. There was one point where I just flew the airplane right at the top of the circle doing insides and outsides and figure eights. I'm waiting to see the video. He hasn't posted it yet on our RC group, but if
was he flying FPV or
yeah, flying FPV.
Did he have a spotter?
I don't know, man. Yeah,
come on,
maybe.
See,
there was 20 other guys.
Busting the rules.
You could call one of them a spotter. There was 20 other guys out there, so yeah, there were spotters.
Mike was the spotter.
I was the spotter. Yeah, I was right underneath. So, I just want to see the video. I think it's going to look pretty cool. I'm just not sure what format. If he's just going to post raw video on our club site, or if it'll be a YouTube deal where I can share a link or whatever, But anyway, got out and did some flying. It felt good. Felt good to fly, and little RC stuff as well.
That was Sunday?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were out there all day. All day. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, we had a mystery plane the other night from Pat He calls himself Pat's Place on YouTube, and he said the mystery plane turned out to be a little Tomahawk kit made by Vico Dumas, and
Tomahawk.
yeah, yeah. So that's what it was, and
Mm-hmm.
he had talked about a couple of other planes. He looked it up and finally found it was a Carl Goldberg Stuntman 23 with a Enya 09 engine, which is that's a lot of engine.
Motor.
Yeah, Stuntman, but so that takes care of the mystery plane.
Okay.
Yeah, we were thinking baby Barnstormer or
Yeah, I don't remember the Tomahawk having that shape of tail, but
I actually had that kit. I had the original Vico kit. Where did I get that? I think it was at the hobby shop, like in the bargain bin for $20, and then I rebate it for like $55. Because when I opened it, I thought, oh, this will be a cool little half A kit, you know. And I opened it, and of course, it's like 60 years old, and the wood's like plywood, and it's all punched. I'm like, I'm not building this, man. How did we ever build kits back in the day of die cut stuff, man? Oh my god,
No kidding.
it's awful.
But yeah, well, you had to remake a lot of the parts, especially when they were cut with a worn out die.
I always broke so many of them. I was always busting ribs and stuff because I'd be too impatient, you know.
Yeah,
I wasn't smart enough to remake the parts. I just was a good enough modeler to keep working at it and make it go.
What are you doing over there, Charles?
yeah. Hey, Charles.
Oh, he's on the phone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard it ring and muted.
Everybody say hi to Charles since he's on the phone.
1, 2, 3. Hi, Charles.
Charles, what are you doing?
Hey, Charles.
He's probably got his. Oh, there we go. He's looking now.
All he can hear is gibberish anyway, because we're all stepping on each other.
Oh, okay.
Oh well, we tried.
Well, let me tell you about this. Gary Sinclair is one of our YouTube watchers, a regular YouTube guy, and he sent me an email and said that let's see, where's his email? There it is. He made a calendar for his club with pictures of the members holding their planes, and he thought it would be cool if our core group in here, our usual 9 or 10 or 12 people, would send him a picture of us with a plane and the name of the plane and the name of who we are, if you want to include your name, and he'd make a Stunthangar calendar and mail one out to whoever's interested that wants to get a Stunthangar Hangout calendar. And now I have not said anything to Sparky about this, but I think that'd be cool as shit to have a Hangout calendar.
Only if we all wear Speedos, man.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I promise.
Speedo bathing suits. We can make it the sexy men of Stunthangar.
But stay tuned. I'll talk to Sparky about it. And then he sent me an application or like a worksheet to send in your picture, your name, and all the information he's going to need if we get this okayed. So we might have us for 2020, we might have us a calendar with all of us holding up our airplanes, and that'd be pretty cool. You know,
everybody to see a purple airplane now and then.
I'm not sure about the Speedo part. I might have to model it first and see if y'all approve of it.
What, you want to wear my Speedo, Rusty?
No, I did not say that. That's obviously a misunderstanding. I categorically deny ever saying that.
Hey, I'll be back in a second. My wife just got home from work. I gotta go.
Okay.
Go over the day's agenda with her.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, we'll see you in a while.
Man.
Well, we don't have to stop because he left, you know.
Yeah, taking a
saw
break
somewhere, but we can talk about him while he's gone. I saw something on Facebook, I think it was about him and Sam holding up their little red Pinewood Derby car. Pictures of him and some of the other club.
I never remember to look at that Facebook page.
Member.
And by the time I do look at it, what I went to see is so far down the list I can't find it anyway. It's like reading 100-foot long scroll when you try to read Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I guess if you put them in your friends, their stuff pops up more than just run-of-the-mill junk. I don't know how it works exactly, but I managed to see what he had.
Good for you.
Oh wait,
Tornadoes going on.
yeah, I hear it.
I
I'll
think
wait until Mike gets back, but I got show and tell tonight because I was told that that talk's cheap, so don't talk about my.
Awesome. Golly, so well, we're gonna have some longevity in our lives.
I need to mute that.
have to mute Charles.
Yeah, I unmuted him to see what was going on. So anyway, I was told that talk was cheap, so I couldn't talk about my Hyper Viper until I had pictures. So I got pictures and a piece of it to show you till later on tonight.
Later, come on. Let's see.
Wait, Mike gets back, and wait till Charles is here.
Okay, Mike, Charles.
Yeah. Oh, we got dead air now. I got to. Oh, John Skukalek says, "Where's Woody tonight, Doug?" Who's Woody?
He's right here.
His little he holds up
Okay.
the hat.
He's right here.
Hey, Woody.
Gotta get
I forgot that was his name.
Yeah. I got one for you. Yeah, this is kind
Oh,
of
look
fun.
who just came in. David Fountain. Hang on. Let me let TD Bandit in here. That's his alternate. Name. There you go. Okay, Dave, you're in.
Pat showed up.
Yeah. Unmute your mic, bud.
I got kind of a funny one about Buzz and Woody.
Hang on. Okay, never mind. Hey, Dave, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing? Sorry it took so long. My internet was giving me fits.
You saw what?
Add in.
No, I said my internet was giving me fits.
All
Rusty,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let Pat
See.
in.
But
What'd you
back
say
when,
again?
Let
back
Pat
when,
in. Pat's trying to get in.
Oh, thanks. We got so many people I can't see them. They sneak in on me.
Hear me?
I can't. Yeah, I can hear you. I had to click the approve button. Okay, you're in. You're
Okay.
approved.
Well, that's
What I heard-
good.
but about Woody and Buzz, you know, Buzz Lightyear, and
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
my boys, when they were young and those movies first came out, it was right after Christmas, and the boys would get each other something for, you know, a gift, and they both rode the school bus together, and so they were on the bus talking about what they, you know, and one of the kids asked my younger son, you know, what did you get for Christmas? And he told his friend on the bus, my brother gave me a Woody.
Give me a Woody.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
I
so
go both ways.
the older boy bit his tongue.
Woody.
Told me about it later, and so we kind of kept that to ourselves for a while till he would understand it and think it was funny. And so, yeah, we let that one slide for a while.
Yeah, no comment.
Yep.
So
Looks like you're
what's been going on down in Georgia, Dave? You get any hobby time in?
No, unfortunately, it's just been work, and more work. It's just been busy, and I did, however, I got a prop rod. I got an old Cox prop rod that I'm trying to work on. I just pulled the engine apart and found out that it needs a reed in it. And it's got the old metal reed in it, star reed.
Yeah.
Got to get some. I don't have any more, but otherwise, it's in excellent condition. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, it's no cracks. The pod isn't cracked. It ain't busted. And, you know, if you wanted to, you could run it right now. You know, provided it's got the reed in it.
Are you looking for the star reed or just any reed?
Just pretty much any reed. I don't really like the little metal reed because after a while, the corners actually break off and the reed will float off and then get bound up and then the engine will quit. So the little mylar reed is one I usually use.
My preference is the oval, semi-oval mylar reeds.
Yeah.
And actually mylar star-shaped reeds, but
I preferred the semi-ovals because Cox created those, and you know, because they were superior to the old reeds, to the star reeds. Because the star reeds, the corners would, you know, erode and deteriorate, and the reed would dislodge and open up, and you know what happens to the reed valve engine. Once that little valve opens up, all pressure goes out the cherry and it quits.
So here comes Charles.
But I am fixing, however, to start building on my F82, you know, my old Brodak F82, and fix to start building it. So,
Hey guys, I got to run from this.
That's a twin
I'll be
Mustang.
back in probably a half an hour at the most.
all right.
Okay.
I'll see you in a bit.
All right. See you later, Steve.
The F82 is what they call a twin Mustang, isn't it?
Yes, the twin Mustang. Yeah, it's got
And-
twin Mustang fuselages, one pilot, you know, but
Right. My little bit of trivia about that is I heard that they don't share any parts with the real Mustang.
no, they don't. No, they don't. I've actually seen a real one, so they don't. I mean, outside some of the lines of the fuselage, everything is unique to it.
That's what I
Outside the
seen it?
engines.
That real one flying again?
Yeah, they got a real one flying again. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I just can't remember the name of it, but it's recently just flew.
Yeah, they
first-
made it
first flight.
a week or two ago.
Yeah. That was a long project too, because that dude had to source all kind. Well, he got the airplane and all, but he had to source a whole bunch of new parts, you know, and everything. So it was a kind of lengthy, you know,
He got that airplane out of somebody's
restoration.
backyard.
Yeah, it did. That's what's so unique about it.
He got what?
He got that aircraft. He got the F-82, the one that's flying right now. That was bought out of somebody's backyard.
Oh, no kidding.
No joke. It didn't have all the parts with it either. So, you know, he had to get engines for it. He had to have new parts made. He had to source new parts from around the world. It was an expensive project. Of course,
Did it have
anything when
valve?
you're dealing with a Mustang. Huh?
Does it have Allisons or Merlins?
I think it's Merlin. It's got Merlins in it.
Yeah.
Got
Was that
Merlin.
an actual wartime plane, or is this just a
Not-
civilian job?
It's post-war. It was conceived to fly. I mean, they were trying to get it in, you know, towards the end of the war, but they had issues with it. They had issues with the aircraft, so you know, during its early development, so it ended up coming into play after the war.
Is that that twin Mustang you're talking about?
Yeah, the twin Mustang, the F-82.
Did it have service in Korea?
I think it did see service in Korea. Yeah.
Now, what was the configuration? You said it's twin fuselage. Does it have two cockpits?
It has one cockpit for the pilot, and I think the other one was for a gunner or something. I don't know, but you know, but there it had two canopies on it.
It did
Yeah.
have two canopies.
Yeah, it had. Yeah, pilot flew it from one side.
When I first saw and heard of that airplane, I wondered why they didn't call it a P-102. you know.
Yeah.
Was it D type or C type fuselage and canopies?
It was D types, bubble canopies.
That's cool.
Another one. I'm gonna have to look up.
And that airplane actually seen service?
Yeah, it actually saw service in Korea.
And what was
Short.
the job? Was
It
it
was brief, but
was it like a surveillance plane or was it a fighter?
it was a fight. It was a fighter attack aircraft, but when they were developing the F-86 Sabre, you know, and everything, the early jet fighters, it didn't see much. It didn't see much service because the jet fighters were superior to it. So
Yeah, see, B's were for bombers and P were pursuit
Yeah.
planes. And F.
your pursuit, yeah, the F was fired at the F designation came in when they really started with the Air Force.
Yep.
But you know they
had
even
F and A for fighter and attack, or F/A. I mean,
yeah,
like the
fighter
Stunt.
/ attack, yeah,
Yeah,
What airplane are we talking about?
F-82
Mustang.
Twin Mustang.
Oh, the twin Mustang. Okay.
Yeah.
I flew in Old Crow with Jack Roush for an hour back in '99.
Yeah, I seen Oak Crow. Yeah, that's a ride, ain't it?
Yeah, it was a ride. It sure was. It was quite the good time.
Yeah, somebody told me they got to ride in Kermit Weeks' airplane, P-51. I think it was his. And I said, "You're pulling my leg. They're a single seat airplane." Oh no, they got another seat buried back in there.
Well,
But,
no,
yeah.
they took the gas tank out that's behind the cockpit, and they put a jump
Yeah,
seat.
see,
in
that
there.
was before I knew much about the.
Yeah, that's
The
how
sleeve
Roush
model,
was set up. There's no
all that.
control back there. There's no stick back there. And I tell you
Right.
what, me at 6'2", and I was probably 230 at the time. It was everything I could do to pry myself into that thing, man. It was a tight fit. But I was
heard
getting
they
in
were-
it.
I heard they were tail heavy until they burned off that fuel in that back tank.
I got pictures floating around here somewhere of it, of me in the airplane and talking to Jack. And somewhere out there, there's actually a video of us flying in formation with the drop zone's Twin Otter, because this happened on a drop zone that I was working at in Michigan, and we were flying a Twin Otter as a jump plane, and Jack took me up for a ride on a Saturday when skydiving was going on, and then Mike King, he was the pilot of our Twin Otter, he was coming down from dropping a load, and him and Jack were talking, and we flew up and did a formation flight with the P-51 and the Twin Otter, and we flew right over the top of the DZ at about 500 feet. Of course, everybody had their cameras rolling and all that. I need to try to get a copy of that somewhere.
Is the Twin Otter that same plane the guy in Seattle stole last year and flew until he crashed?
No, Twin Otter's it's a twin engine turbine propeller airplane. Avalon Twin Otter. You see a lot of them on floats and a lot of them on skis.
Yeah.
There's bunches of them down in the islands, and then there's tons of them up in Alaska.
Yeah, they're big bush plane.
Big bush plane.
Yep.
They make great jump planes because they got a big door, and they can haul like 24 jumpers up to
Constant quarter wing.
15 minutes.
Hey, I got something here I've been talking about for 2 years now, and I finally got it. Finally got my little chop saw.
All right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
It was on sale by the seller. Hang on, let me click on my picture so I can show it to the tubers. It was on sale for $35, and I had a $5 coupon, and it was free shipping. So for $30, I got the little thing, and I read good and bad reviews on it, and so there were more good reviews. The only thing I don't know about this blade, I can't see myself cutting bolts with this. It's a toothed blade.
Yeah,
And
is it DC, Rusty?
I could probably get a cutoff wheel that's made out of the stuff, you know, that fiber stuff they make the Dremel cutoff wheels out of,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and put that on there. but it's 2-inch blade, and it's got a little miter adjustment. Not probably too accurate, but and as you can see, the clamp in there is a little weeble wobbly, but I think I can
go a little bit higher if you could.
fix that up. Oh, okay. How's that?
There you go.
There you go.
So what are you going to use it for?
Well, mostly cutting things like brass tube for plumbing, or carbon fiber, or music wire, or bolts. A lot of times I want to cut music wire. A lot of time I want to cut bolts. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping, that it'll do a good job of. But
just make sure you wear a mask when you're cutting that carbon fiber. That stuff's not good to breathe.
I always do. Yeah, when we were talking about masks the other night, I was thinking that I work at a machine shop. It was my dad's machine shop, and we had guys cutting fiberglass, and it was insulation material for the furnace on this machine, and I think it was an inch thick fiberglass, and so they had to get masks. Nobody wanted to use safety equipment, whether it was shields on the angle grinders or masks or whatever. So here's what they would do: is they would hold the mask up like this, and they would cut the fiberglass, and then they would take the mask and hold it like that when they were through to move their stuff around. Meanwhile, there's fiberglass raining down
inside the mask, which made it totally useless.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, Rusty, speaking of chop saws, I got something here that was given to me that apparently there was a thread recently on that these are pretty desirable. That Dremel 4-inch table saw there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
A lot of guys saying they were looking for those and wanting those. Mac Henry gave me that for helping him clean out his shop when he had to move.
What a nice gift.
I don't have anything with a rip fence on it. I'd love to have something like that.
So, well, while we're showing tools, this is my cutting, sanding, and drilling station. So this table's got my drill press, my bench grinder,
nice,
my sander, my belt sander.
I like that sander.
Of course, the bandsaw too.
That's one I don't have.
And then Mac gave me this too. That scroll saw. I think that's what's it called?
It's a Dremel.
It's a Dremel as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Dremel. I've got one of those.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Here's
I've got the jigsaw with the blade in the side right now.
This was
one at a time, guys. One at a time.
That was my dad's jigsaw from the 1950s.
Wow.
And I still have it. It still works. I think it was Montgomery Ward, if I'm not mistaken. I think it came from Montgomery Ward. But I got this table set up. The whole thing's on casters. So when I need to make a lot of dust, I just roll it right out into the driveway instead of doing it all in the shop.
Yeah, that's great. That's how Wayne's got his power tools set up, so he can roll it out. That's what I'd love to do too.
Oh man, is it nice enough weather where you are? You can have your garage door open.
Sure enough, man.
It's getting there.
Tonight, I don't have the heater running tonight.
I saw some little table saws, 4-inch table saws, when I was shopping for this for about 40 or 50 bucks. So I was thinking about one of those a couple of years ago. I might have to get that because I can't count the number of times I've wanted to rip a piece of wood all the way down, and I don't have anything that I can do a straight cut like that with.
Well, I'll tell you, don't buy the Harbor Freight one. The Harbor Freight
thing. Is that a battery powered deal you've got, Rusty, or an AC? No.
So say that again. Is it what?
Is it a DC chop saw or an AC chop saw?
AC. It's AC.
Okay. Sorry, Mike.
That's okay. I just want to say, steer clear of the Harbor Freight little saw they have. They've got a little 4-inch one, and I bought it, and it ain't worth a shit, man.
I know it's unstable as all get out.
A lot of stuff from Harbor Freight.
It's it won't even cut 1/4-inch balsa without bogging down, man. I saw that thing for like $20, and I said, "Oh man, this is gonna be great for hobby stuff. I'll be able to cut plywood on it in little bits and make shit." That thing wasn't worth nothing, man. I sold it at the yard sale for $5.
That's how the reviews read too, so I'll stay away from it.
Yeah, don't waste your money, man.
What unit was that?
The Harbor Freight, they've got one, a small table saw, and the base isn't as big as the Drought. It's only got like a 6-inch base on it, I think, and it's got a 4-inch blade, but it has no torque whatsoever. As soon as you put, like I said, you put a 1/4-inch piece of balsa in there and it goes, whirr, it just stops.
Oh, they shouldn't even be able to sell that. Well, I hope this one is better than that.
Yeah, the one you have, Mike, is the one that I'd like. But I was getting ready to pull the trigger, and I said to myself, I already got 2 table saws. I mean, 2 big. I have a Craftsman table saw and a Skill table saw. I mean, real ones, And I thought, I justify buying that Dremel, which I really do want, but I just thought, no, I can't do that. That's kind of stupid.
I'll tell you what, I probably never would have bought one, but since Matt gave me that thing, I use it all the time, man.
I bet. I know.
I was using my bandsaw before that, because it's got a fence and all that. But I think you get a little bit better cut with that thing, doing balsa and ply,
Yeah. So. And I would make a sled for it if I was you. When Sparky uses his, he has that sled, and he does really nice cuts. You can tell, it's a nice way to do it. 'Cause I have a sled on my Skill saw, my Skill table saw, and sleds are really nice. But I really do want that Dremel, but I just can't rationalize it. So, and they're getting so expensive on eBay. I mean, I've been getting them for like 5-6 years, and back when I was looking at them, you can get one for less than $100 every day. But now they're going for over $200.
Oh yeah, everything, inflation and all that. So,
you got any more Dynajets you want us to trade?
I wish I did, because I wish we could do it again. Let's do it again. I don't remember that movie, but let's do it again. If I had one, because I'll just fly the jet at the Nats, and that'd be good enough for me.
There you go. Well, now that I know that because wasn't there a whole thread on Stunthangar about that table saw recently? People were talking about that Dremel and where to get one. Now that I know that people want them, I'm going to start watching local Craigslist ads, see if they pop up.
When you say Dremel, it's got an internal motor, right? It has handheld Dremel to it. Okay.
No. It's an internal. It's just made by Dremel company.
All right. Yeah.
They manufactured it.
Yeah.
And there's some nice ones out there now. There's a German one by Micromark. It's a German one, approximately, which is nice. And then there's another one also.
They make lathes too, don't they?
Huh?
Micromark. They make lathes too, don't they?
I believe so. Yeah. So, but I still want one. It's one of those things where it's not really a need; it's a want, And I got
I got a bad case of wanting stuff.
Yeah.
Did we lose Steve already?
Yeah, he had to go. He said he'd be back in about a half hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you and him left at the same time.
So I'm waiting for my motor to get to the Ukraine. I just checked with Oleg today, and he said it's still not there.
It's probably going to take a while.
Yeah.
Especially with the way things are today, they take a while. So
yeah.
But a guy tried to send me a motor from Canada one time, and it got stuck in customs. It was the Cox Engine Forum's traveling engine, and it got stuck in customs because they detected nitrogen from must have had a little bit of fuel on the rags that he had it wrapped up in or something.
They detected the nitro in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can tell you, Charles, guys ordering combat planes from the Ukraine 12 weeks to get them.
Oh man.
It's taken 3 months to get.
Oh wow.
Travis on the Maca forum, he just posted yesterday he got a box of 20 airplanes that he ordered that shipped 11 weeks ago. They left the Ukraine 11 weeks ago, and he just got them yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
And then even Chad and I, we split a box last winter, a box of 10. It took about 9 weeks for them to get here from Ukraine.
Okay. Well, thanks for giving me the proper perspective. I'll just try to forget about it. But I have a pipe coming from Kaz. I got a header from a gentleman on the forum, and I get another header. So I'm going to end up having two K77s.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to have a pipe and header for each one of them. And I have a plane weight, and I have an impact I got from Dave Sabon. And so I have one plane built already, ready for it. And then the other one will probably go in the Thundergazer when I build that.
What are you bringing to the Nats?
It's a Pathfinder, built-up Pathfinder.
That you built?
And I'm building.
Oh, you're building. Okay. I was hoping you were going to be maybe in the same boat as me, because Steve and I had a pretty long discussion.
It's a possibility. That's why I was hoping to get that K77 back, put it in this impact in case, whatever reason, I'll take that as opposed to if I don't finish the Pathfinder for whatever reason. I mean, I have so many other things going on in my life right now. I'm a part-time mechanic, getting 3 cars ready right now.
Yeah.
I feel for you. I'm a mechanic myself. I know how that is.
Yeah. So my Cadillac is almost done. I got that thing running pretty decent. Just got to pass smog now, which I think is a problem. And then 2 other vehicles I'm still working on: a Buick and a Chevy Blazer.
Mm-hmm.
I can fix them. It's just time and money.
That's what it is. It's all time and money.
And now it's a little bit more of time than anything else. So.
Yeah. What's up with the Buick?
I don't know. It's putting out too much NOx. It takes a smog test. It's just way high in NOx.
There's nothing wrong with a car. It's where you live, Charles. That's the problem.
He's probably very right. I don't believe him for a sniffer test.
You got to go through.
Well, I just took out all the injectors and I cleaned them manually last night, and I put them back in today, and the car is running nice. I'm going to change the fuel filter.
Have you checked the cat?
The new cat, yeah.
New
I have a new cat, new EGR, new spark.
O2 sensor.
Say again?
O2 sensor.
I haven't changed that, but there's no code showing that it's failing.
Yeah, well, you never know. I mean, they can start borderlining and not code, and and I've actually had that happen to me one time. That it didn't show code, but it actually was a problem with it. It was borderline. It was just about to go bad.
Well, I probably will replace that.
That sounds like a HAL 9000 problem.
Say what?
Sounds like a HAL 9000 problem. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those weird cases,
Yeah. Then in my Blazer, it has I need to replace the fuel pump, which is in the tank, I've done that before, and I have an exhaust leak on a major exhaust leak on the Blazer, and I just got to get to that, but that's a lower priority. I want to fix the other 2 cars first. My wife drives a Caddy, so I got to get that fixed.
Oh, these are your own cars, not cars of
my own cars. Yeah, people ask me if I work on their cars, and I just say, look, I need more time to fix my airplanes. So I'm
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about that plane crash, that real plane, the one in Ethiopia, the 737 MAX 8?
Yeah, they grounded them.
Not in the U.S. Just I think they grounded them in Ethiopia, and China has grounded them. But U.S. is feeling like there's not enough data to justify grounding them.
What's the problem with it?
It's an anti-stalling program when the plane takes off. And I guess the one the Ethiopian event, I guess the plane went nose down like 12 times, and the pilot's struggling, during takeoff, during the vertical takeoff. And that's about the extent of what I know about it. But from what I hear, the U.S. hasn't grounded them here.
I saw something on the news today that 737, were they 767s?
No, they're 737
737. I saw something about something being grounded for a while.
I hope they do. I mean, I just think lives are lives. We don't want to take any chances. There are other planes they can use. I just
So
thought
it was an anti-stall program. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I read. That might be. They're still trying to figure out. It's early in the investigation. What is the cause of the crash? There's another crash that happened in October of last year in. Was that in India? I know it crashed in the ocean, but it's a similar crash. All the crew, everyone died.
What was the Amazon plane that just crashed?
I don't know about that. Tell me.
There was an Amazon freight plane that crashed with killed pilot and 2 crew members.
Oh wow!
That was like 2 weeks ago. That was another jet, and I thought that was an Airbus or something like that.
Wow, I don't know. I didn't know about that one.
Well, we only care about Boeing ones, right?
No, I care about any plane. I'm going to be flying in July. I'm like, July. I'm going to be flying my wife and kids. So I'm just thinking, okay, I'm not going to board a 737 MAX 8.
Yeah, you want to watch what you step on then, huh?
Exactly.
Yep.
We flew the 777 over to Russia when we went to Russia all 6 times. We were on the 777.
How was that?
It was nice, man. We flew the
That's 2 aisles or 1 aisle?
Oh no, man! It had there was 2 aisles, like 3 seats on one side and 5 in the middle, and then 3 more. Of course,
wow.
We were in coach, so. But I think there was 500 people on that plane.
So it was you guys that were colluding, huh?
Atlantic, you'd have a 2-aisle plane, yeah. I've only been on single-aisle planes my whole life. Well, I shouldn't say that. When I was young, I flew to Panama. I'm not sure if that was a 2-aisle or a single-aisle, but I think I've always been on single-aisle planes.
Yeah, most of our trip, we went to Russia 6 times, three times for each kid, and I think 5 of the flights were on 777s, and then we were on a 747 one time.
What are you adopting kids out of Russia or what?
Yeah, man, those are my Russian colluders, man. Both my babies are. You bet. Man. You bet. Weren't you on during the conversation when I said if because I was talking about Samuel, he's got dual citizenship till he's 25 years old. He's a Russian citizen and a U.S. citizen. I said if he can't make the U.S. team, I'll fly him over to Russia and we'll get him on the Russian team flying for the Ruskies, man.
No.
He can go to World Championships and represent Russia because he's got dual citizenship.
Are you serious? Or are you pulling my leg here?
No, I'm dead serious. My kids, both my kids are adopted, and they have citizenship.
See, I didn't know that. I was just trying to hang shit on you.
No, they're Russian adopted, and they have dual citizenship.
Wow. Maybe I should petition Panama to start flying control line and getting the world championships. I was born in Panama.
I've been to Panama.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in the Navy, we pulled into Rodman. I spent a week in Rodman, Panama, actually. And you know what? I was there in November of '89, and I got out. That was my last cruise, and I got out of the Navy in November of '89. Came home, and guess what? I was watching on Christmas of 1989 on television. Us getting old Pineapple Head out of there, Noriega.
Oh, okay.
That's when we invaded. I was in Panama a month before we invaded Panama.
Holy shit.
I was watching all that shit go down on CNN, you know, because they had reporters hiding behind every coconut tree down there. And I was looking at the places that we were and the beaches we were on and the parts of the city that our forces were invading. I was like, shit, I was just there like 4 weeks ago.
Wow.
You know, it was pretty weird.
But Panamanians like Noriega. So,
Yeah.
no
Hey,
problem.
listen, I've got both Chris and Pat muted because they were working in the background and I can't seem to unmute them. So if you guys want to talk, be sure and unmute your mics. I don't know why I can't unmute you, but just wanted to let you know that's the reason I had muted you.
Can you hear me now?
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, gotcha. And Pat's picture disappeared. I'm not sure if he stepped away or not, but I'll tell him when he comes back. Anyway, I got out to the shop and worked on my Hyper Viper this weekend. And
Oh, yeah.
y'all let me talk about it the other night because, as to quote, Tryon talks cheap. He didn't want to hear about it. I didn't have something to show. So I'll pull up a few pictures here and show you what I got. And I'll pull them up in just a second. Let's see, Hyper Viper, where you is? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Rusty, I'm seeing quite of those being posted on the Balsa Model Builders group too on Facebook. There's a couple of guys that are posting pics of those. It's mainly
really?
the page, but there is some control line guys in there, and I've seen at least 2 guys building those Hyper Vipers on there.
Oh, good. So how far along are they? Did they have the short kits like I got, or did they have
The ones that I saw were fully built and with engines installed. They were getting ready for paint and covering.
Yeah.
What it looked like. They had engines installed in them already, so I'm assuming tanks too.
Let's see. Yeah, I've done a few cosmetic changes on mine. Let's see. Okay, here come the pictures. Let me click that and share. Okay, and got one picture selected. Now let me come over here and click on myself so the tubers can see it. All right. All you're seeing is my folder right now, isn't it?
What is that part
Yeah.
you have there, Chris?
What's that?
What part are you working on there?
I actually ended up finding my motor and a Brodec timer for my Voodoo.
Gotcha. Yep. Don't need a double voodoo kit, do you?
No, not right now. I'm actually about to move, so I shouldn't have started on this one, really.
One of these days, I swear I'll get rid of that.
Nobody needs a double voodoo kit, man.
Okay.
One of
Here.
the old ones.
Now I can start. All right.
Very cool.
I showed it the other day. That's what the kit came like out of the box, and the stab's just sitting on there, but it was already hinged and everything. So I've started rounding off the fuselage, and I'll show you that. I got it sitting next to me. These hardwood sticks were square at both ends, but he had made a rounded trough for them to sit on. There's a little shelf under it, so I got those epoxied in. I rounded the ends of the sticks to fit the little shelf. He recommends just putting enough of the stick under it to support the engine. I went ahead and ran the stick all the way back, and if it seems to be a weight issue, I'll trim it out, but I think it'd be stronger that way, and so I'm going to leave it like that. And next picture, let's see, I got them out of order. That's a TD sitting in the front of it. Okay, you can see where I started rounding the bottom. This is the bottom half of the fuselage. I started rounding it at the tail, and up in this metal area, you can see the CNC lines still on it, but I've been scrubbing away. You can tell with 60 grit paper on the edges, and it's got a lot of wood. This must be 3/16 of an inch thick along the edges of the fuselage. So I want to get some of that wood off. There's the final. I left them sticking out a little bit, so I might want to put a nose ring or something on here. I'm not sure, but I got to figure out a way to get air in there with the engine, and there's no way to get exhaust out. So I'm going to have to get creative. That's what it looks like with a Norvell sitting in it, with the muffler on. And I want the muffler on it to get the exhaust out. So if I can trim enough out of this cowl to go around that muffler without actually going through, I'll put a hole through it, or either I'll bore a hole in the bottom of the fuselage and run a silicone tube pipe right down out of the bottom of the plane. I haven't decided which way to go with that yet. That's the Norvell top view, and it's got a big head on it compared to the whole. The next picture should be okay, that's another view of the Norvell. Next picture, that's a TD sitting in it, and that sits a lot nicer. With the Norvell, it is wider than the TD, so it actually, the crankcase touches the hardwood bearers. I'll have to, if I use the Norvell, I'll have to, bevel that a little bit, because you don't want the engine touching the bearers except for the flat part where the bolts go through. And there's
use the TD, dude.
that's the Venturi on
the
TD is what's causing it to be cooked up in the front. So I need to cut out a relief for the Venturi to stick out of, and so that is that. Except, but I don't know what to do about the exhaust on the TD. The exhaust ports, let me go back and see if I can see. Yeah, see, the exhaust ports are on the side, so I could find somehow to vent it, cut some vents, and hopefully most of it would blow out of the side. I'll coat the inside of this thing with fiberglass and epoxy. So if it gets covered with exhaust, that's okay, but I really don't want it blowing all out inside of that. So that's going to take some imaginative engineering.
Yeah, you can't put a muffler in that thing either, but that cylinder's got SPI on it.
That's right.
So it'll choke it down.
There is one of those wraparound mufflers that's got a tube that sticks out. It collects exhaust from both sides and shoots it out of one tube. But I don't know if that would even be good with the.
No, it's because it's got SPI. I mean, you can probably stack the cylinder up to reduce the SPI, but you might lose performance even doing that to change the timing.
It'll kill your power putting them.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Well, here's
could you internally take something like a beer can and then just build yourself like an oversized hung muffler?
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying? Just an oval with tin or a beer can.
That's what I was thinking of. Just I could run it curved just across behind the engine, and it would be a catch that would just blow it out of the sides. Yeah, form something out of just light aluminum. That's what I was thinking too.
Just a deflector of sorts.
Yeah. You see how wide the wood is on this? I'm trying to decide if I need to go inside and take some wood off of the sides of this. I don't want to make it weak, but
I mean, thickness of the wall thickness of
right. And I'm not going to make it any thinner up here where the wing goes. But
I don't. You're not going to save that much weight by doing it.
Not with probably not. No, but I am getting it. I am getting it rounded because that was all squared off. This looks like two pieces of wood here too, and the top half is built. I think that's just an illusion on the camera. The top half has a turtle deck that looks like two separate pieces of wood, one going along behind the canopy like that. But anyway, so it's not a lot, but it's something. And I thought I had a problem with my glue. I always save the little mixing papers that I put the glue on, and the outboard glue, I got a good cure on it. It's good and shiny, and it cracks if you bend it. But this one on the inboard side I was worried about. It was starting to cool off in the afternoon. It was a little hazy looking, and it took a long time, but it's finally getting pretty hard. I mean, if I hit it, it doesn't put an indentation in it, so it seems to be hardening on up. That's why I brought the glued wood inside, just so it would be at a warmer temperature until it was finished curing. So that's
Are
what
you going with the original Hyper Viper colors?
close to it, maybe. I ordered some dope from Brodak. I didn't get the purple look, and I've got some different shades of blue. So
Mine's
I'll
gonna be purplish.
mix it up and put the checkerboard on it. Maybe I'm not all that concerned about it right now, but I'll get it as detailed as I can without going crazy. I like painting fine, but I hate masking, and I'm not that good at it. But so we'll see. I'm gonna get it as close as I can to the original color configuration. I'd like it to be recognizable as a Hyper Viper. I have radius, the wing edges, the corners of the wings, a little bit more than the kit came, because they were pretty sharp edged, and I didn't think it looked good, so I just added a little bit of style to it. But anyway, that's the Hyper Viper show. Let me unclick myself so I'm not hogging the screen.
What is SPI, Dave? What is that?
It's subport induction. Well, what it is if you got a cox like TD, when you bring the piston all the way at the top dead center, you see a little gap underneath, but at the bottom of the skirt and the cylinder.
Yeah.
What that does is it allows the easiest way to describe it is it allows an extra little puff of fresh air into the crankcase.
As the piston's rising, it creates a vacuum in the crankcase, and so that vacuum is relieved by cold, fresh air. At the same time it's been rising, it's also pulling fuel through the reeds, through the valves. So when it starts to go back down, there's a little bit of extra air to compress together, and it gives you a bigger charge.
And it allows you to run the engine a little bit richer, so you can, it gains extra power.
It gives it a nice little gulp of air, so it does increase.
You can see it, but with some of those, the gap between the bottom of the skirt of the piston and the cylinder is very critical. If you can have too much or too little, and a little technique with the TDs, is you don't really want to screw that too much, except maybe reposition the exhaust ports by putting a shim underneath the cylinder. Okay. But that's what it does. Just like Rusty says, it goes in, it allows that extra little puff of fresh air and cold fresh air in there to mix in, and with that extra air and that extra oxygen in there, you're able to burn more fuel, so therefore it gains more power and RPM. You can see it. You can see the non-SPI cylinder and SPI cylinder like a Black Widow, a #1 Black Widow cylinder,
right,
and a #2 Baby B cylinder, or a dual port Baby B cylinder, which is also open port. There is a considerable difference in RPM. You see it's between the Black Widow and the Baby B. The Black Widow runs about, I've seen them run about 17, 18,000, and a Baby B will peak around 15, honestly. So on a 5.3. So,
there are two different ways to create SPI in the later years to keep from having to make a separate piston with a lower exhaust opening. They made a cylinder. And let me start over. Instead of making a separate cylinder for SPI that had a lower exhaust opening, they made the cylinders all the same. And the ones they wanted SPI on, they shortened the piston so that the skirt
short skirt piston
for it, and pull in the air the same way. So they call that, I mean, and that piston was lighter, so you got two advantages there. With a lighter piston, you get a little bit more RPM. And that is how the newer SPI works. So
Yeah.
you can't take a piston from you can't take a piston, the short piston from a new type SPI and put it in a cylinder with the old type SPI, because that would be double SPI, too big of a gap, and it would fall on its face.
What's the deal with my little Norvell or AME or whatever this is, with that head on it?
Hold it down a little bit.
Hold it steady, man. Hold it
Yeah,
steady.
here, let me see it.
That's a Cox head.
Yeah, that's a Cox
Yeah,
head.
Cox head.
That's a Cox low compression head.
And it fits on this?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Fit, but it's a power killer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. That's the low compression. That's the low compression Cox head. If you're gonna run a Cox head, run the TD high compression.
Even the TD is not enough.
This number 1701, I think is a number for it.
Even the TD, yeah, it's not going to have a high enough compression for it, though.
And
Well,
the
I
TD
didn't know
the
these
TD
parts
head
were
has snake
interchangeable
marks.
with these doodads. That's what's tripping me out.
Do what?
TD head'll have-
I didn't
the
know
TD
the.
head'll have
Wait. Okay, Doug, go.
I didn't know that Cox parts fit on this thing, and that's the way I received this engine.
Yeah.
Was that.
Yeah, the Cox head is a common replacement because they're actually easier to acquire than some of the Norvell heads. At least at that time.
When I crank a Norvell the first time out of the box, I use a Cox head because it's easier to crank. After that, I put the Norvell head back on. But if you run a Norvell head on a Cox, you got to put 5 shims underneath it.
Is this called a Norvell or an AME, or what is this engine?
That's an AME.
Yeah, that's an AME. Yes.
So what makes a Norvell different from one of these?
There's not really, yes, a later production.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's supposed, there's a big MiG and there's an AME. AME is a higher performance engine.
Yeah.
And I think before all that, Mike was trying to get a word in edgewise too.
I was just going to say, you can tell the difference between a Cox TD high compression head and a regular Cox head. The high compression has stake marks all around the top.
Yeah, it's got a knurling mark around. Now there are some TD heads out there that don't have that. They are new manufactured. They're made by Cox International and EX model engines.
Right.
And they're made by Makoa.
But new old stock.
Yeah, they had the knurling.
Cox packaging. It'll have those knurl marks on it.
Yeah, they had the knurls. Yeah, and they're commonly referred to as the trumpet head because the combustion chamber looks like a mouth of a trumpet. And the low compression head is just more of a, it's more of a little about shaped like that. The Cox head, the TD head is shaped more like that. So, it's their magic, how they, because it's, it's pretty hot little head. It was in the right combination. So just the new adapters that you can get that use the short and RC long plugs. If you want them for parts, don't use them. They don't produce the RPM.
I wasn't real crazy about them. I bought 2 of the heads when they came out just as spares because my supply of 049 glow plugs was pretty limited.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 of those heads and threw them in the box. So if we run into a deal where we blow a plug and we don't have one, I can always at least get it running. But
I think
they suffer on performance.
Yeah, they do. Unless you can find an adapter ring that accepts turbo plugs or turbo style plugs like the P1, P2, P3 OS plug. But it's but the standard RCs, they just like I said, they rob power. They run good. The only reason why they came up with that is just for the ease. It was a lot easier to get to get a standard plug.
Do you think the reason for that do you think the reason the performance is so low is because like the inside chamber of the glow plug is so big?
It's so
that it
big.
has less compression.
It's so big, and also a lot of times the end of the plug will protrude into the combustion chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And they're never flush. The only way you can get one to work properly is it has to be exactly flush in the combustion chamber, and also it leaves a flat there. And the reason why the trumpet head works is because it allows a turbulence, and it allows a more of a direct push. Those RC, those plug heads, as I call them, they don't produce the right turbulences in there, and it hurts compression and whatnot. They're only there just to make them more convenient. That's it. Yeah. But
you've got a lot of surface at the top of the plug that's not smooth.
Exactly.
Or at the
not
top
smooth.
of the head, I should say. You know, you got a hole that big, whereas with a regular glow plug, you got just the element hole.
Oh yeah. And plus it's a smooth surface it's made into it, so
right. I mean they work in a pinch, but definitely not anything you're going to be running to beat the band.
You're not going to win any races with it.
Yeah,
we're going to have trouble getting Merlin heads again, because that's who made the Norvell. Well, I don't know about the Norvell replacements, but the ones that are just like the Norvells that we use on the Coxes with the clamp ring and the drop-in plug.
Yeah,
Since Merlin's gone, I guess NV Engines, who sells Norvell, is the only way to get.
The Norvell head will work on a Cox. It's about the same way. You got to use shims. You got to use a crazy amount of shims on them. You know, like 5. You have to start with, I think, 3 or 4 shims to begin, and keep trying, and as you go up. I think the one of mine I stopped at 5.
Yeah, actually, I usually start with 5 and then work down.
Is it over compressed if you don't use the
shims? Yeah, way over compressed. It won't even start.
Okay.
Not even with a spring starter.
And that's with what head? When you start out with
the Merlin and the Norvell head.
You start with a bunch of shims.
An easy way to tell is the easy way you can tell if one's over compressed is they'll do one of 2 things. They won't start, or they'll start and then slow down and start, and they'll bounce back and forth. You know, they almost run a tank out doing that. So I mean, the way you do it is you start where you find. It's a little fine line between being easy to start and good power, and not easy to start and everything. So the way you want it is where it'll start easily, and you know, to the point, and start with that, and then add 1 extra shim to it. You know, but and then after that, then you can go from there with attack and mess around with your nitro and things like that. But
so I got a question then, since we're talking about these. What is the difference between that and that?
Let's see. Oh, the Merlin. Go insert. Hold the Norvell one up a little bit. There you go.
The Merlin has a beefier looking coil in it.
Yeah.
And a bigger hole, I think.
Yeah. The Merlin, in my opinion, has a better element than the Norvell does. But it's just, but they're pretty much the same as far as the combustion chamber and everything. They use the same clamp ring and everything.
The same clamp ring, and they're for use on a Norvell or an AME or whatever.
Yeah, a Norvell, AME, or Cox.
Yeah, if you got okay. I don't know where I got I think I picked these up at a swap meet for like $1 a piece.
And they also run real well in a VA engine too. If you can find a VA Mark II or something like that, those are cool little engines.
They might
What
have
is
just turned into gold now that
What is
Merlin's gone.
Say
What is
what?
David?
The VA as in Victor Alpha. The VA 049s. There's a Russian-made engine, rear exhaust.
Oh, it's not a version of a Cox or anything
No,
like that.
no, it's a whole different engine. There it is.
You mean that one?
Yeah, that's a late model AM. That's a late model VA.
that one.
That's late model VA. That is the
Yeah,
old style. That's the old
a one
style.
piece- It's a one
That's the
piece.
two-piece.
Right. These are
Yeah.
both one piece cases. I had
Yeah.
about 6 or 7 of the 2-piece cases in parts and stuff, but I sent them off to somebody else.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
issue-
The two-piece case is the one that the Cox head will run in.
Yeah, because this one I found out that ain't fitting no Cox or Norville thing. It's so much bigger.
Yeah, it looks huge.
They changed it. The only VA that runs with a Cox engine with a Cox head is the early two-piece
The early
case.
2-piece models. So I got
Yes.
2 of these from Don Cranfield. He's an old combat
Yeah.
flyer.
Yeah.
And these things run like stink, man. They go
Yes,
like
they
hell.
do.
But the problem I'm having is, I mean, you can see that this head came to me that way. That's how galled up that head is from trying to
Yes.
get
it off.
They're aluminum and they're so soft. And I haven't torn this one up because I don't want to, but I can't even get the damn plug.
Insert out. You can't get the insert out.
Well, I can get the insert out. I can't get the plug out of the clamp or out of the whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. That looks like a Nelson plug or a Nelson style plug.
These are set up for Nelson plug. So this is.
I saw that on X model engines the other day.
Say again, Rusty?
I saw that piece on X model engines the other day.
You did.
I did. I'm pretty sure I saw that on X model engines. Yeah, I can't say 100%.
EX model engines. He was selling
Yeah,
Nelson headlight.
yeah. Take a look and see if he's got an adapter. I think I saw it there the other day. I'd never heard of it before, and now this is the second time I've come across it.
Okay, Dave, what were you gonna say?
See, damn, I forgot what I was talking about.
I would like more info. I'd really like to be able to. Some more.
I remember now. Have you tried? Well, of course, you said you're having a hard time getting it back loose. But I'm about to say, did you try to pop that plug out with it still in the engine?
Oh yeah, I can't get the head down tight enough to
do it.
The plug wrench just spins the whole thing out. Yeah.
Mike, can you?
Yeah, because that Nelson plug it's got a taper. It's got a taper seat.
Yeah,
and they're bad about sticking. They're bad about sticking.
Yeah,
I know the OS turbo plugs, for the RC car engines are that way.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
I looked on Doug Galbraith's site because I thought maybe he would have something, and he does a Nelson head clamp for like Norvilles and stuff like that, but I didn't see anything about VAs because this diameter on this, it's a lot bigger. I mean, I can measure it, or I could hold up a Cox.
Heat the aluminum.
Yeah, I was about to say, heat it up.
Yeah, I can try to heat it. This one was pretty galled up when I got it. It was already because what Don did was he sent me a box of motors for Samson Happy, and there's a lot of bits and pieces and parts, and of course this is stuff that he flew for years and years. So some of it has been abused pretty bad in the combat world, But as far as both of these motors, they have excellent compression and they run like stink, man.
Oh yeah, they're crazy.
This one I actually have mounted on a Gentle Lady glider on a power pod, and it takes that thing up to 800 feet in about 30 seconds, man. I mean, it's just like.
And it sounds like it too. It sounds like it too.
Yeah, and
it sounds like a mad hornet
with fine thread needles for
bladders
bladder. But I would, man, if I could just get a couple of new heads and the clamp for them, I'd be a happy camper, man. I'll check EX engines, Rusty, and see what
Yes,
what comes
I
up.
did. I hope I'm telling you right. I'm pretty sure I saw it though.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen these going on eBay for like $150, man.
Oh yeah. Oh
Used
yeah.
ones, and there was a couple of new ones recently for $199. The guy with.
Yeah,
You know,
because
they're good engines, but I wouldn't pay $199 for something I can't get parts for anymore. Not when you can buy a Fora for $170 and you can still get parts for them. You know, because the Fora is every bit as powerful as this VA, and it's a modern engine, and you can buy all the stuff. If you bend a rod or break a crank, you can get one. You buy a $200 VA and stuff it in, you ain't getting parts for it. You know.
yeah, that's the problem with it.
That's the problem. But I
Well, Alfararo's wanting to know. Alfararo's wanting to know. Could you put a Galbraith head on there with Nelson Galbraith head and plug?
no, and that's. Hang on a second. Let me get something.
Yeah, I think the late model VAs were proprietary. They wanted to run their own stuff in there.
Yeah, we lost Pat. I don't know what happened. He was one of the guys I muted and couldn't unmute.
So this thing is 625. I don't know what the thread is, but that's 625 thou, and that's way bigger. I don't know what a Cox head is off the top of my head, and I don't have one super handy to measure. But that's the issue that I'm having is,
I think that was on the newer ones. I wish they still kept the thread that they used on the older one. You know, where you can use a Cox head or. But I think they got away from that because they wanted to use only their own heads.
well, here I got a Norville. I can measure. That'll be the same as a Cox.
Yes, the same as a Cox. Yeah.
Okay, so the Norville cylinder head is right at 500 or 505, I guess. And then the ID on this one is right at 600.
Wow.
So there's 600 on that one.
And Norvell is 0.505, 506.
Yeah, 500, 502, somewhere in there. So, yeah, part A does not fit into part B. They're not.
No.
And I need heads for these VAs. So, Al, if you know anything there about that, I'd sure appreciate it, Al Ferraro. If you know where I can get a VA head that's
I'll keep an eye out too. So if I happen to see any, I'll let you know Friday or whatever. But I'll keep an eye out.
Even if I just had one new setup, I could at least swap it back and forth between the engines. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's a shame that I won't be able to use these. Once this plug burns out, I don't want to tear it up trying to, change the plug in it.
Yeah, but just like Rusty said, the other said, try heating that thing up to see if it'll come loose. Because if those turbo style heads, if they stay in there too long, they'll grab.
Yeah,
that taper will grab. The reason why is the taper.
Yeah, Mike. You're gonna have to heat one and cool the other.
Yeah,
get it all heated up.
Put
ice on the plug and try to cool that steel and then get it apart.
Okay.
Yeah, because you only want to heat the aluminum, not the steel.
Yeah.
So because the idea is to get it to expand away from the steel, and it'll let go.
Yeah. Well, I guess the hot tip is when you're done running them, is pull the heads and take the plugs out of them when you put them away.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, that's actually not a bad idea because I used to race RC cars and some of the high end of the RB engines and everything, they had turbo plugs. They would grab like that. So, they get to the point where they were really hard to get out. So I got to the point where at the end, if they sat up for a season or something like that, I'll take the plug out and I'll put a piece of paper towel in the plug hole. That's not actually a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't even, the other thing is just crack them loose.
Yeah, or pop them loose. You just crack them loose.
Pop them loose.
Yeah.
They'll keep dust out. And,
Yeah, there's
Because
no
that-
telling how long those plugs have been in there. I mean,
right.
they came to me like that. So
Well, it's just like on my truck anyway. I got aluminum wheels, and them things will weld themselves to the,
they'll gall together.
and it's something about the dissimilar metals. They just, if they're on there too long, they just stick, and then
Well, the aluminum expands and locks the damn nut in there.
the only other thing I can think of is that if you took some of the copper anti-seize and just put a little bit
on the threads.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do that. You can also do that on the turbo plugs if you want to, but you got to be very careful not to get that stuff into the combustion chamber.
Yeah.
And not to over tighten it. I was talking to our mechanic, and that was the deal to where with Fords had the plugs that were sticking in them.
Yeah.
So people started putting anti-seize on it and then busting the plugs off because they turn so much easier. You can't torque them to the same specs or tighten them down. They just turn easy, and you don't think they're that tight. Then they breaking the plug off in the block.
Yeah,
but
into the head.
You put any anti-seize on it, you got to be really careful because it just makes it. It's like put oil on something, makes it slipperier.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because of those turbo plugs and the Nelson plugs and all that. They're designed to seal. With with very little pressure. All you got to do is just turn it, then just snug it.
Yeah.
Because they will not blow out. They will not blow out. All you have to do is to snug it. I mean, most people would take it, do that, and then just like they do with an RC plug, which you do that with RC plug, but you don't do that with a turbo, because I mean, that's another reason why they stick. Because they over tighten them. Because it's just like a split taper on an engine. When you clamp in it grabs.
Yeah.
Same with the turbo plug.
Hey, Mike, Al says he might be able to make one of those clamp rings for you.
Oh man, what am I gonna have to do for that?
Y'all might have to discuss that outside of the video. I don't know.
Well, that'd be great, Al. I'm gonna try to chase down Rusty's lead there from EX Engines, and I will also, I guess I'll just give Doug Galbraith a call and see what he has to say. He may have a few of them laying around because, I mean, he's the free flight guy, and he's the guy that in the 90s, he probably had a lot to do with these VA engines back then when they were popular, He may have parts laying around.
You never know.
But yeah, Al, if push comes to shove and I come up empty-handed, I would certainly take you up on that. I can send you the head, what you can do.
Actually, I misread what he wrote. He was saying to call Doug to see if he could make one for you.
Okay. Oh, damn it, Al.
Sorry.
You were just gonna machine me up a couple.
Hey, the other thing is give Dick a call.
Yeah.
Should he
have some?
Well, he won't have any, but Dick is just one hell of a machinist. He makes stuff for guns and air guns, and he's known all over the country for that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, he can make just about anything on a mill and a lathe, and especially a lathe.
Good to know.
But he makes Venturis and all. He just doesn't sell them to, everybody because he doesn't want to do it full time.
Right.
But yeah, like the back plates, he can make back plates for LAs, and I got some he did up, but he just doesn't. He says there's no money in it.
Well, when we were at the Nats last summer, we were flying Sam's Streak 2000, and it was tail heavy. And Dick was out there helping me and Sam, and he's like, "Oh, you need to put some weight on the nose, Hang on." He goes to his car, he comes back, he opens up his little kit, and he hands me a big old brass spinner nut, and I go, "Oh, is that one of those heavy hubs?" He's like, "No, that's an Imhoff hub. I make those." He's like, "I crank those out by the dozens, man." So he had just what we needed.
I forget, somebody said something about didn't like the brass. They wanted the chrome one or whatever. He comes out there the next week with one made out of tungsten carbide.
Oh shit! You ain't gonna scratch that sucker.
And because tungsten is real heavy, you know, and so he
And
brings
it's hard too.
it polished and everything. We're like, holy crap!
Oh yeah, yeah. I tell you, so speaking of heavy hubs, you know, my Wiley, my old Wildcat, my happy Wildcat, it's bound. I've got an old heavy hub off of a Cox, off an old Cox AT6 Texan plastic model.
Yeah,
It come with a heavy. It came with a heavy hub to help balance it out, and it worked perfectly on it. Those are pretty nice for nose weight too.
yeah,
So
I
yeah.
think I have one of those Cox heavy hubs that came on the Apache helicopter.
yeah, the Apache helicopter also had one.
Yep, I still have it. It's all busted to hell because they fly about like swinging a rock on a string.
Yeah.
But we flew it. We flew it.
Well, the helicopter you flew on a string.
Yeah, the Cox Apache was an auto gyro.
Auto gyro, yeah.
It was
Okay.
an auto gyro.
We had one that was like a free flight thing.
I've got that too. I've got one of those as well. The Apache, Steve, you remember K&B toy stores in Michigan?
Yeah,
K&B Hobbies, K&B Toys.
Yeah.
I was in there and they had an Apache helicopter in the bargain bin for $4.99. So
holy shit!
I mean, I bought it because it had a Cox Sure Start on it for, it was $5. I was like, what the hell? I knew the thing wasn't going to fly well, but we took it out in the street and flew it a couple times. And of course, you got to be 6 inches off the ground on pavement when the engine quits for it to land properly. Because if you're 3 or 4 feet, it just falls
Yeah,
out.
stud. It does stud. I know I had one.
But then I do have the other Apache free flight model. I think I launched it out at Huntersville a couple years ago, Rusty. Were you there when we did that?
No, I didn't see that. Oh,
Yeah,
wait a
we
minute.
launched on the combat circle a couple of
Oh,
times.
yeah, Al was there too, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that to the Nats this year. We'll do that out at Muncie. There's plenty. I can put a full tank of gas in it out at Muncie.
Yeah.
That one works.
You remember the UFO that Cox made, the little round?
yeah, the flying saucer.
I could never get mine to fly. It would always veer off and crash. I could never get that thing to go up in the air.
Yeah, the way, I've actually, I actually got one to fly real well. You just kind of hold it level and just let it go. You don't throw it. You just hold it level and just let it go.
Okay.
And it'll lift off and start spinning, and and it goes. I mean, you're not supposed to throw like a frisbee.
Yeah.
Just like
element.
I got my stepson one, and we were flying it. It'd go up, and then once the thing started speeding up and catch the RPM of the motor, it quit.
Yeah.
So my brother has an idea. He goes, "What if you spun it backwards when you launched it?"
I think that's what the instructions said to do, was to flip it the opposite way.
I took that thing and got it above my head and spun it backwards and threw it up, and that thing took off and went so high it caught us and it disappeared. And we looked for like 2 hours for that damn thing till we finally found it. I bet you it was a half a mile away. It was far.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dad had all them the early ones with the 020s, the orange and white one, and then the orange the Bell 47, the 021, the yellow one, the Cox made Cox Skycopter, and he took a lot of free flight stuff out to the RC field and launched it out there all the time. And then I had found in the attic after my dad died, he had built some of the old Berkeley auto gyro kits out of balsa. Do you remember the old Berkeley helicopter kits that were free flight? Did anybody ever mess with those?
No.
I've heard of them, but I've not seen one.
So I mean, basically the same thing as the Cox stuff, but it was a balsa kit that you built, and it had preformed wires for the rotor blades and all that stuff.
Yeah, speaking of speaking of the little Cox models, there was also an RC helicopter built that way. It's made by Dubro. It's called a Dubro Whirlybird.
The Whirlybird, yeah. There's one in the AMA museum.
Yep.
Yeah,
I actually saw one of those fly. They actually flew pretty decent for what they were.
Mm-hmm.
They strictly use engine torque. They use engine torque to keep it going. So
Yeah.
I like that thing band
sounds weird.
stick, the 049 on a stick thing, and he puts it on there, and that thing gets going around. And
Yeah. What? My dad used to tie a rag to an 049 and let it go. You ever seen
Yeah, the
that?
flying
Chris?
rags, the flying rags.
The
yeah,
flying rag?
once our airplanes crashed, then that's what we did with them. We took them out in the backyard and flew rags all day long.
Yeah,
Sat there and trim them, because if you get too much rag, the thing wouldn't do anything. Too short, it wouldn't get a very good flight. So we'd be sitting there with different rags to see what
Yeah,
we could do, how high we could get them.
my dad was a bit of a helicopter nut. I mean, he built a Benson gyrocopter in our basement in Detroit, a full-scale Benson B8 that you fly in. And he never finished it. He had a heart attack in 71. It was about 90% complete. He had done everything but built the rotor blades for it. So that thing sat in our basement in Detroit the entire time I was a kid growing up. And he just stopped the project. I mean, he would. I've got a book with handwritten letters from Igor Benson, and my dad would buy a few parts at a time, and then he would drill them and do all the machine work in the basement on his Sears lathe and his Sears drill press. But he put that thing together, started in like 69 and then stopped in 71. When he passed away in 85, my brother and I were both stationed in California, and we took it out to California and finished the damn thing. We built the blade set that Dad had, but we could never get them to track right. The wood was just too old, and they weren't salvageable. So we bought a set of fiberglass blades from McHutchkin Skywheels. They were a commercial auto gyro dealer at the time. And we finished that thing, and we went out in the desert out in El Mirage and got 500 feet of rope, and we started dragging each other around the desert, towing each other behind my dad's 71 Ford pickup truck, and we learned to fly that thing as a glider out there. We'd tow each other around all day long, man, just going up to like 400 feet and being drugged behind the truck. We never did any releases or anything like that. We just always did towed flying.
Wow.
no, well,
Supposed to be a motor put on it, some type of
Yeah. There's a spot for the motor. Yeah, there was a spot for the motor. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a motor. We just flew it as a glider.
Oh, okay.
We just flew it as a glider.
Too bad you didn't keep it. Now you could have had a motor on it and fly that.
Well, I wrecked it.
Oh.
I was doing something called kiting with it. You could, if you got like 20-mile-an-hour wind, you could tie the cable to the back of the bumper or a tree or something like that in a wide open area, and you could actually fly it as a kite. You didn't have to be driving forward if it was a windy enough day.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually at the RC field in Detroit, Steve. That's where I was, at Detroit Aeromodelers. I had it out there at that field in the fall, and it was blowing like 30 mile an hour. And I had that thing tied to a tree. I had 500 feet of cable out, and I was flying. I mean, you just sit there and fly. You go up and down and left, right. You can't go forwards and backwards because you're tethered.
Yeah.
But I was doing this kind of shit across, coming from high down low, swooping the field, and I caught a wheel and I flipped the damn thing and I wrecked it, man.
yeah, you did a tip over.
Tipped it over. Yep. Sure did.
Yes, with tip over, and then blades go everywhere when that happens.
Shit went everywhere, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, helicopters. I don't care what type of helicopter, they never crash well.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
got some
you showed,
RPI.
I'd never seen the chicken dance until you showed me some helicopters doing that one day.
Mine did a pretty serious chicken dance about 6 months ago. I got it fixed now, but I ended up the gyro freaked out on my on my 90 size TSA 700, and it started doing all kinds of it started whipping back and forth, and I hit throttle hold and try to auto it down, and it was just whipping back and forth, and it sucker whacked on the ground, and then I don't know what happened, but then all of a sudden it came out of throttle hold, and that sucker torqued over, flipped over, and it just started flopping around like a fish out of water, and it just started doing its gyrations and everything. And the problem is you can't go and pounce on us. You got to stop it. You got to wait till it burns the clutch up.
It'd be like jumping on a hand grenade.
Yeah, that's all what it is. But it did about $450 worth of damage.
David, that was a RC helicopter.
Yeah, this is an RC helicopter.
It's a little more scary being strapped into one and flipping it over. I can tell you
Yeah.
that.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That's all I could think was
Nothing could compare with that.
I'm gonna get decapitated here. You know, that was my first thought was I'm gonna lose my head. You know, I was only like it was right after I got out of the Navy, so I was like 22 years old, man. I was a stupid kid. You know, I didn't have a pilot's license. Neither did my brother. Neither one of us. We just went out and, I mean, we literally taught ourselves to fly the thing, man. And we were doing stupid shit. Like, we figured out, well, this is supposed to have an engine on it. That's about 150 pounds in that space back there. So we started taking our buddies up, and they would hang on the back of the chair and put their feet on the axle, like right behind us. And we'd tow each other around and go up to 400 feet with somebody hanging on the damn back of the seat.
Holy shit!
On, man. I'm not kidding you, man. I'm not joking. We did some dumb shit, man.
Before they started drinking.
No, we weren't drinking, man. We weren't drinking.
I gotta go refill my bunny cup. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, we just got to thinking. We're like, hey, you know, we could probably put a person there because that'd weigh about the same as the engine, as long as they hung on and weren't moving around. And sure as shit, we did it. We flew like that a bunch of times. I wouldn't do it now.
Well, at least you're having fun.
Hey, David, I got a question for you. I got 2 helicopters given to me.
Yeah.
And 2 like kits. What is a Hobby King? That's supposed to be a copy of a.
The Hobby King is a clone, probably of a T-Rex.
Yep. Is that thing worth even doing anything with?
Some of the Hobby King kits are pretty nice. Are they little 450s? Little bitty 450s or
no?
What?
I got an Align. I got given to me a kit of an Align 450.
On a Line 450, yeah, that's a Line T-Rex 450. Yeah, that is a nice helicopter. That's a good flying little electric helicopter.
The big gear on it, the tooth gear.
Yeah, the main gear is what it's referred to.
Yeah, that was broken on that one, but it's someone started putting it together and broke it or whatever. But the Hobby King one is a 700.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a big mama.
And I got that, and it's brand new in the box. Never been
built.
Pardon me?
It says never been built.
No. Given to me. I let a guy. I told him he could have them other helicopters. They got OS 45s, I think, or 50s or something in them.
You say what? What in the other helicopters?
Yeah, I think them are aligned, but they're different because it's got that little paddle on top of them.
Yeah, that's the fly bar. Yeah, that's the earlier style. The newer ones are fly barless. I tell you what, I'll show you my 700 real quick.
All right,
you go get it. Give me a second.
Oh, Charles is back. Where'd you go, Charles?
I'm just in my garage cleaning up.
You're always cleaning.
You were looking for your glow driver and couldn't find it.
Oh, glow driver, yeah.
I got glow drivers. They're just not charged. Here's the glow driver.
You better watch your pit box at the Nats, man. I'm gonna go up there and steal every glow driver you have. Charles will be going nuts. Wait, where's my glow drivers?
Yeah.
Hey, David, do you ever hear of a Supermanus? Oh, I don't think he can hear us. He's got to put his ears on.
Yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to show it. So what?
Have you ever heard of a Supermanus, David?
A Supermanus?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
It would have been about 1982, 1983. OS 40, 4-channel helicopter, no gyros.
Yeah, that's the day where you got real pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the canopy of my 700.
Wow, that's a big one.
Holy cow.
What do you got, a 90 in that?
YS96.
Oh, damn.
This is the chicken dancer.
So you got her all back together, though, huh?
Yep. Yep.
What kind of gyro did you have in it that took a dump?
I got the CGY 750. It turned out to be the sensor what went bad in it.
Oh, okay.
It's a fly barless. Here's what I mean by fly barless. It doesn't not. You notice it don't have the fly bar.
Right.
The one you have is a fly barred. This one requires an FCU or flight control unit because to handle the fly bar. The fly bar is a stabilizer.
Okay.
It's a gyro. It helps keep it stable.
I didn't know that's what that was for.
Yeah. The little paddles on it are help it move around. I don't know if the UH-1 Huey helicopter, the big one.
Yeah.
Military helicopter. It had a fly bar too. If you notice, it had a long metal bar on the top, and it had little knobs on the end of it, big knobs. That's the same way. It works the same way. It's a stable. It's a Bell Hiller is what it's called.
Those knobs are weights.
Yeah, they're weights. To add a gyroscopic effect. Because helicopters they fly through something called gyroscopic precession. So that fly bar is what keeps it stable. The fly barless helicopters have to have a special mixer, a 3-axis gyro, in order to stabilize the head. That helicopter I showed you is a hands-off helicopter. I can set it in a hover and it'll sit there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, while the ones with a fly bar, they're real stable, but they're more involved. You have to actually fly them more. This thing actually is fly by wire. In other words, when you fly it, it's kind of when you move the stick, you got to think about it.
Okay.
So but yeah, they're much more advanced. But yeah, you probably got a couple of T-Rex 600s.
Oh, 600s.
Yeah, there's OS 50, probably 50 hypers. The engines got blue heads on them.
No, they got silver heads, but they're real big.
Okay, that is the 50. Yeah, that's the OS 50 SX.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that's what they. I remember when you said that. Yep, the SX.
Yeah, the hyper has a blue billet head, anodized blue head. That's the hyper. Now, if you get an OS engine that's got a black hyper style head, that's the 55 HD. That is the current one that they still make.
Oh, okay.
But the T-Rex 600, the fly barred one, is just as good of a helicopter. I actually have one of those, and I fly it too. I mean, it's more simple. It's a little harder to set up because you got to make sure all the linkages are straight. By the way, if you're going to mess with it, make sure all your linkages are exactly the same length.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing worse than having to hunt down a link that might be off a 0.5 millimeter. So
these have been flown before, and
but I'm talking about if you have to fix them.
Oh, okay.
Which you will.
I'm not very good at helicopters, and I'll get back on the simulator and play a little bit.
Get on similar. The 700 is actually easier to fly. It's actually the easiest one to fly. It's just big and intimidating. So I mean, this 700, it's got six. I can't remember. You got 696. It's got 696 millimeter blades on it each.
Because when I fly quadcopters or whatever helicopters, RC airplanes, I fly mode 1.
Yeah.
Helicopters and drones, I fly mode 2. It keeps my brain.
Yeah.
From so I can, I don't think about airplanes when, I try to fly and fly them on mode 1 and I couldn't do it. So I just grabbed a mode 2 for the simulator, and I'm like, damn, now once I learn, it's like my brain stays with helicopters. It doesn't go.
Yeah, some people are that way, and me, it helps. I mean, there's one thing that has helped me is now since I've flown helicopters for a while, I cannot fly anything without a rudder.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I start to panic now if I can't fly a rudder. So I said, man, there's no rudder. There's no rudder. Because I start naturally going over gyro to the rudder. I'm a rudder flyer. I mean, I got several. In fact, I got a Phoenix model Yak 54 with a DLE 20 in it, and I've got it's about 342 with a OS Gemini 160 twin in it.
There was a guy at our field yesterday with an S-Bach.
Yeah.
Sam had to tell me what it was from the real flight simulator. He flies it on a real flight all the time. And we showed up at the RC field. There's this kid out there, Cody. He's probably 22 years old, and he's got a mess of them big, giant 3D gassers. And that S-Bach was one of the nicest airplanes I'd ever seen, man.
Oh, yeah. It's easy to fly.
So can you fly 3D on airplanes then?
Sort of. I'm not no competitor. I can do knife edges. I can do snaps. I can hover, and I can somewhat do a torque roll, but of course I've never really concentrated in competing. So, I mean, I can,
people that fly helicopters can actually do that because of the rudder. I mean, most RC airplanes, when we fly, we don't use that much rudder, takeoff, landings, and a few others. But the brain just doesn't hook that rudder. The guys that fly the helicopters and really can fly the crap out of them, when they go to that, their brain just automatically, they can kick
go
off
to the rudder.
Stuff.
Yeah, it makes you a natural rudder flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing a helicopter. It's an excellent rudder trainer because you cannot fly a helicopter without a rudder, without using rudder. Unless you want to make some goofy, weird little turn and
yeah.
So, but helicopters are, they're a different animal. You got to make sure you stay on the simulator. The hardest part of flying a helicopter, what I'm pretty sure you found out on the simulator, is nose in.
Yeah.
When the thing's pointed, I call it staring down the beast. because everything is reversed except for collective. And when you pull the stick back, it goes towards you. When you push the stick forward, it goes away from you. And if you move the stick to the right, it goes to the left. If you move the stick to the left, it goes to the right. That's with the nose pointing towards you. That's the reason why when you learn to fly a helicopter, you do it tail first, nose away. Because helicopters, it don't take them long to get into trouble.
Yeah, they're not.
Do what?
I said they're not real stable.
No, they're naturally unstable. The common little joke that they have with it is you got to kick them in the air. You got to make them fly. An airplane's a natural flyer. They'll come off the ground. You get enough wind going over the wings, they'll take off. The control plane will try to take off, but they're sitting on the ground. My ringmaster got broken in half because of a gust of wind. But a helicopter won't do it.
Yeah.
But it's but the current crop of helicopter that are fly ballers, if they're set up properly, they're actually quite easy to fly. The hardest part is just is trying to get your orientation right. But the ones with the fly bars, they take a little bit of time. And if you notice when you're flying an RC helicopter, when you lift it off the ground, it'll list over either right to the left, depending on the rotation of the rotor.
Oh, okay.
That's because the leading blade is developing more lift than the retreating blade. So, that's what it is. That's what happens in forward flight. That's the reason why a helicopter has a natural tendency to roll when they're flying forward. So it's a whole lot of stuff to think about, but once you get the idea of it, they're pretty easy. And they will make a better pilot out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why a lot of big guys rather fly helicopters as well, because it keeps them sharp on, just like you said, the rudder. So, but yeah, that T-Rex, that Hobby King 700, is it nitro or is it electric?
It's electric, but I bet you it's a 600. It's not as big as that 700.
Okay, it's probably a 600 then, because that makes sense. As I don't recall Hobby King ever making a 700. And because now Line makes the 700 to 800 now. They have an 800 now.
Wow.
But it's a big sucker. They're even making a turbine powered one now, I think. But but yeah, you probably got a 600. 600 is an absolute perfect size to learn to fly. They're not too expensive, and they're not cheap, but they're not too expensive either. The 700s, the problem is they're great. They're even better, but the problem with learning on a 700 is the bang factor. Well, not the bang factor. The dollar factor is much higher than a 600.
What's the 600? What's the 600 run all in everything?
You can pick up a 600, a Line 600 ready to fly. About you can get in one with radio ready to go and support equipped by 800 to 900. Or you can go with the cheaper ones. You can get them as low as 600, 700. That's with the radio. They're more expensive than airplanes, but because
my luck, I get about 30 seconds out of it, probably.
The problem is that infusion I got. That infusion I got. You don't want to know how much I got in it.
Oh, there's a lot of heli guys out at the RC field too. They got all kinds of tricks and tricked out.
Yeah, I've got a little bit over 3,500 in mine.
Woo.
Yep. Yeah, the 96, the YS96, which is fuel injected, is about $450. The engine and the pipe's about another $300. The radio I've got is about $800. The kit's about $650, $700. The blades are like $150. The tail blades are $40. It's just, it adds up.
How much stuff did you break when you were learning to fly?
Do you really want to know?
Well, if you're like any other heli guy, they all say, it just costs dollars to get good, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. It takes money. It costs dollars to get good. I don't know how many times I tipped it over and tried to motor grass with it, but and of course, when you're flying and you're good at it, you do it, because I think the craziest crash I ever had was my poor old Thunder Tiger Raptor 50 SC. That was at my old field at Henry County RC Club, and I was doing a whole bunch of high speed backwards flight. It's funny. We helicopter flyers were during the fun flight, and we had a little game. We would fly around the windsock, and going backwards. And I whipped up, and I wouldn't come back, try to get it, and I was going to cut around the windsock. Well, I misjudged the windsock, and I stuck the dang tail right straight in the windsock, right in the middle of the windsock, and it turned into a screaming ball of aluminum and windsock and steel pipe, and the blade that I had carbon blades on it, cut that steel pipe right in half. So it ate the windsock. In fact, that windsock and part of the blades are still hanging up at the hobby shop. So
I always get nervous watching the YouTube videos when those guys are standing 10 feet away from them things.
Yeah, I know. I don't agree with that.
I'm like,
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I open my car door and stand behind it and watch through the glass.
Just watching videos, I cringe. You know, just thinking of what could go wrong, man.
That's the reason.
Wasn't there a guy decapitated himself over?
Yes.
Was it?
Up
Yes.
in New York State somewhere.
Yep. Yep. What happened? He was too close, and I don't know if he got disoriented or he had a system failure in the helicopter, but he was at head level, and it was too close, and it lunged at him. He didn't have enough time to duck out of the way, and it decapitated him.
And
it was a 700.
Wasn't there another case where a 13-year-old boy got hit by one in the last
Yeah.
couple of years?
Yeah.
I don't know if it killed the kid.
It didn't kill him, but it cut him up good.
Yeah.
And the reason why it didn't kill him is because it was a little 450 that did it. But it cut him up good. I mean, it tore him up. He had like 200 stitches and things like that.
Well, I seen on YouTube that a guy, I don't know, did the chicken dance or whatever, and the carbon fiber blade flew off and stuck him like a spear.
Oh yeah, embedded. Yeah, I mean that's the reason why if you get a chicken dance, you stand back, you let it do its thing until the clutch goes or the gear lets go, and then you can pounce on it and try to save the engine. But it's just something. I mean, you will do a chicken dance. You should have seen mine. Mine was spectacular. It threw the canopy off. The blades went one way. It broke the tail boom off. It was flopping around. It was just a pod. It was doing all that. So I mean,
video?
Huh? Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. And I'm glad I wasn't because it just made me cringe.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought somebody got it on video, but I've actually got some test videos of it on YouTube. When I got GoPro stuck to the tail on it, it's doing slow flight with it and things like that. It's on YouTube. It's under David Fountain. If you want to look at it, it's TSA 700 test flights. One of them. It's got but it's you'll see it.
I think you've got 2 channels.
Yeah, my early one, my early one I don't use anymore because they got trolled to death.
Hey, I gotta break in just for a second because there's been a question on YouTube for the longest time, and it's just let's see. Somebody wanted to know from you Michigan guys where you can fly. Let's see. Oh, Pat wants to know, do any of these Michigan guys have a recommended flying field near Rochester Hills or Pontiac?
Yeah, there's
How close is Rochester Hills to Remus?
I don't know. Rochester Hills is straight north on 75, just north of the Silver Dome. Not far.
So
there's the Royal Oak Club, the Royal Oak Cloudbusters.
Oh shit.
That's the only one I know, Steve, is the Royal Oak Cloudbusters. They're on the north side of Detroit.
Now, I don't know where Chelsea is compared to all that stuff.
Chelsea's out in Jackson. It's just east of Jackson on I-94.
No, it's Chesney then. Chesaning. That's on 23 going out.
Yeah, that's too far west of Rochester Hills.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, Rochester is just north of the Silver Dome. It's just north of Pontiac. There's got to be an RC club in Pontiac, I would think. That's a big enough city.
Yeah, he's probably looking for a control line, but I'm there was a guy at the Nats, and he was up that way, and I'm trying to remember where he was flying at, but he was coming down and flying with John Parents and stuff. Well, that's Flint,
that's Flint. That's a good piece away.
Yeah.
Paul Smith lives in Sterling Heights, but he flies out of Detroit. I mean, if you're looking for a control line circle, there's a control line circle at Rouge Park in Detroit. It's the Strathmore Club,
Yeah.
which I think is about 4 guys now.
And then you got the one there in Remus. That's where Bob McDonald flies at. There's some guys that fly, control. They got a circle cut, mode there. Flint has a place.
Lansing, isn't there Lansing Flying Aces?
Yeah, Lansing has one. Kalamazoo, where we fly is just in a buddy's backyard, but it's real nice. I mean, we have a nice controlling field there, but he just, that's Pat. He won beginner there 2 years ago and stuff, and we got that. Me and Dick got that. Pat got that thing really nice now. So, but yeah, I mean, over on that side of the state, I guess John Paris would be, trying to get a hold of John Paris on Stunthangar and find out where everybody's flying over there. Because I know there's a bunch of guys that still fly out of Detroit and
well, they fly in Westland too, over at the old Eloise Lunatic Asylum. They got a circle over there.
Oh, okay.
That's where they have the state stunt meet, because they still have state meets, Michigan state meets, but they fly the combat portion of it at Rouge Park. They fly the stunt part over there in Westland at Eloise.
Well, the stunt was right there in Remus. It's not really.
I don't know Remus. I don't know where that is.
It's right by the it's where the airport's at there.
Oh, Romulus.
Romulus. Oh, I said Remus. Yeah, Romulus.
Romulus. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's it's Westland Romulus. That's where they do state meets.
Yeah.
It's over on oh, it's like Michigan Avenue and Merriman or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's close to Detroit Metro Airport. Yeah. Remus. I'm going Remus. What the hell's Remus?
That's going towards Mount Pleasant. Remus is Romulus.
Romulus. Yeah, I don't know. He might be out of luck up there in Pontiac. I'm not sure. Rochester Hills. I don't think Rochester Hills is going to have any control line fields because that's a pretty hoity-toity area up there. So I don't think they'd even have a park where they'd allow that kind of noise and stuff up that way.
Nothing so low class as control line. Huh?
Nothing so low class as control. I bet there might not even be an RC field in Romulus or in Rochester Hills. I don't know.
Well, I didn't know that was a swanky place.
Rochester Hills?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Downtown Rochester's always been swanky dank, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like
for me, living in Michigan, the only place I ever got to with Joe Louis Arena and shit like that is the Silver Dome. I mean, besides them two places, I always stayed on the west side of the state.
Rochester is like Bloomfield Hills North, if you know Bloomfield Hills.
Yeah, see,
that's where all the doctors and lawyers and TV people and the Red Wings and the Lions and the Tigers. That's where they all live out there.
Oh, okay.
I was a garbage man in that city for about 2 years. I drove a garbage truck there.
Pat says he knows of an RC field by Lapeer Road and Baldwin State Park.
Lapeer Road and Baldwin. Yeah, that's kind of up that way. That's west, or I'm sorry, that's east of Rochester, but it is north of Detroit.
Yeah, I'd have to look on the map and see where all that stuff's at. But yeah, I mean, I really don't know.
Stunthangar's got a field locator where people have put their GPS locations in. I think I don't ever look at it, but I know there's one, but I can't tell you how to find it. But probably look up at the top, and it'll say field locator or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of it is if you can, this ringmaster roundup, these guys go out and fly, and you see where they really don't have a club or anything, but a few of them get together and fly ringmasters and stuff like that. And it's like when I was in Florida, by High Springs there, where my dad's from. We found a place through that Ringmaster thing where they flew them, and then ended up calling around and got to fly at that school. But it's not a club like you think, the Flint Club or Lansing or whatever, that that has meetings and this and that and everything else. It's just guys get together and they find a place they can fly at.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get
So
out
how's
of
it
here,
coming
guys.
over there? You've been working hard on something for a while there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got my.
Want to show us?
Mike was talking about a timer, and I remember about 7 or 8 years ago being drunk ordering off of Brodak, and I ordered me a timer. Totally forgot I had it until Mike said something about it.
There you go.
What one is it?
It's the one with the little remote switch on it.
Oh, okay.
Hold it there. There you go. Okay.
So yeah, I got a timer. I got my motor. I got my ESC.
What motor and what ESC?
Battery pack. I got the Rimfire 400, Park 400.
Okay.
And then just a Suppo 40 amp ESC.
That'll probably do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll do it. I've been measuring CG and stuff like that, and the space I'm saving by putting a battery instead of fuel tank, I'll actually be moving some weight forward to the CG, and that'll be compensating for the 35 size that's supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been playing around with designing some motor mounts that are a little longer to get that motor a little further out.
How big a battery you got there?
850 milliamp, 3S.
Oh, you're gonna want a bigger one than that.
Yeah. Well, I got this. I got a 1350 right here also.
That's
3S.
yeah, because I bet you won't even run 2.5 minutes on that 850.
Yeah, I've been doing test runs just to set my timer, but I've been running it prop off. So
how big battery they got on that half A one, Mike?
It's a 1300 3S.
Yeah, so you got 1300 for a half A. I was going to be going up to 22.
Well, the motor, I wouldn't consider that a half A motor, man. It's bigger than that.
Oh, is it?
It's yeah. I wouldn't equate that to a half A IC motor. I would equate it, honestly, in rated power. I think it's around. It flies like a 15, like an OS 15 to me.
Oh, okay.
I think that motor would fly a junior Ringmaster no problem. I mean, Steve, you saw that plane I built. That's got a 48-inch wingspan.
Yeah, that's true.
And it flies that thing around no problem. No problem. With a 10.5 electric prop.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I know that on a 40 size, the Brodak 40, we're using about 2,000 milliamps, 1,900, 2,000 on that. Because I got a 2,700 pack in there and 80% of that. So I don't know where the 400, it's half the size or whatever. I guess you'd almost have to get on like RC Universe or something like that and figure out that rimfire, what people are doing for a 5-minute flight, and you can kind of, go backwards from there a little bit.
I'm kind of, I know it's totally different worlds, and I'm trying to use what I know about this motor, having it on an RC plane.
What plane was it in?
That Carl Goldberg Super Chipmunk. It was about a 30-ounce plane.
Okay.
Park Flyer.
Yeah.
I'd get 7 to 8 minutes flight time on that. And it was hauling that 30-ounce plane around no problem. So, and I was running this 1350 pack here. That's why I brought it out.
Yeah.
So, and running servos, I know they don't take much, but that's an extra power draw.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll probably pull that Voodoo around.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, as I say, I don't want anything to. Yeah, I just want something to play with. It's a sport flyer for me.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not.
I mean, it does need to fly at a pretty good clip for it to fly properly.
Yeah,
You know, you can't slow fly a combat wing.
yeah.
You need speed.
Okay.
Oh, voodoo, yeah. I know what a
But I mean,
voodoo
you
is.
know, if the 400's not enough, you just go up the next size or 2 sizes up. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I got plenty of battery compartment room with this fuel tank. I'm just gonna make a hatch where the fuel tank was, just to pop it up and close it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
little balsa wood hatch, and I got plenty of room in there.
So you decided against an IC engine and a bladder.
Yeah, kinda. I just want,
Scandalous.
honestly.
Scandalous in a
I
voodoo.
know, right? I know. Horrible, horrible. Including when I have the 36X sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just always wanted to play with the electric control line, and I really had no intentions of even building a Voodoo. I just had the plan sitting around. So
Yeah, go have fun with it, man. You don't know
yeah,
till you try. You know.
yeah.
One
I've
thing
built
is
it. I'm
you'll be able to
building
fly
up.
it in places you wouldn't be able to fly the 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36 is got a bark to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, see, that's like the thing of with us, even with slow combat, where we're at now, flying there at Pat's house. 2 lawyers moved in next door to him, and he doesn't want to be sued out of his house. So we don't fly nothing without mufflers unless they're gone. If we know, we'll ask them, this Saturday we want to do this, and if it's okay and stuff like that, because the neighbors do not like combat airplanes.
That's
They live
the
in the
problem
country.
at our field in Pensacola. We had asphalt strip field with a full asphalt circle off to the side. So RC asphalt strip and behind it an asphalt circle. Very nice facility. The Navy Federal Credit Union moved in big time there, and all the executives built themselves a nice little gated community right beside the field. Can't fly anything other than electric power now.
Oh man.
So that circle's useless, really. They use it for electric helis now.
That's a shame.
That's kind of
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
bull
that's a
crap.
problem. Yeah, that's a problem we're having in our area now. But the place where I'm at right now, they don't want they don't want us flying. Period. So but it's but down where I'm at, but where I was flying before, they're fixing to go all electric because they're starting to get complaints of the noise because a lot of folks, high end folks are moving in and that they complain even with a gas leaf blower. So
Yeah, if you don't like the noise, don't move next to an RC park.
yeah,
That's been
exactly.
there for 50 years.
It doesn't matter. We had the same thing with, our track field. It's been there for, I don't know, 60 years or whatever, the gun club.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, we got doctors and lawyers building $500,000, $1 million houses all around it, then bitching about the noise.
Oh yeah, because you can see the thing is, I mean, I think this is another reason why we're starting to see a decline. The club I'm a member of hosts the Southeastern Model Show. I don't know if y'all heard of that. Have you?
Where's this at?
It's in Perry, Georgia. The Southeastern Model Show. It's that real big swap meet down in the Southeast.
Okay, yeah. Last week.
Yeah, the one that was last week. It was kind of lax this year, and of course, it's been lacking. For the last several years. I was talking to quite a few folks out there. And they were selling to get out of the hobby. Some of the complaints was they can't find a place to fly, or those I can't fly because because I fly gas or glow. And it's because of the change in demographics. They got the laws are changing now and things like that, and people are just unsure. I think they're getting spooked is what it is.
Yeah,
I think what it is, and and the hoopla, the drone hoopla that came about, that spooked everybody. Everyone's become real sensitive about it. What happened? I lost. Never mind. I just lost display.
You back, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, so you kind of blinked out. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to have to leave here just a second because I've been on a little bit too long. I got to go to work in the morning.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's pushing 1 o'clock. I gotta do a little.
Yeah.
Do a little better
I
than
got.
done past couple times.
How far?
Yeah.
What'd you
Say what?
I was wondering how far he was from Toledo, Ohio, because we got the Toledo swap meet coming up with the first weekend of April. I'm saying that might be the last one. So I've been taking there since she was like 11 years old, and we're gonna go this year just because it may be the last one.
Yeah, they're talking about. You know, I heard about Toledo going under. You know, because it's just not it's everywhere. I mean, it's all. You know, it's degrading because I think it's just because just like I said, uncertainty and not getting enough new blood in it.
Yeah.
I mean, not sound doom and gloom, but that's just what I mean, that's what it is because we had a post on the Cox Engine forum that same thing. I think what is that Bat Jack that said it or something like that. I can't remember, but he went to a swap meet and it was really lax and hardly anybody there, and but I mean, I'm hoping it's going to pick back up. It would be nice to pick back up. Maybe it will. But I would love to find a place where I can fly because I like flying that Ringmaster, and I'm finding it hard to find a place to fly it because of the noise that Fox 35's got a bark to it. So, but
hey, Steve, Pat says, well, he's signing off now. He said to tell you he's got a cousin in Niles, Michigan. You know where Niles, Michigan is?
Yep. Yep, I do. I don't know of anything really there for control line at all. That's where I used to go and shoot trap all the time. Was down in Niles. They have a really nice stuff there, but for control line, I don't know. I mean, that's really close to South Bend, and I don't know if there's anything there in Indiana. Where it used to be, but all that stuff is, like you said, everybody's leaving. Well, I don't know if we're so much leaving as that we just dying out.
That too, yeah.
Well, that's what
PlayStation and the Xbox has been about the biggest enemy to any type of technical hobby.
No shit.
Yeah, you got that right, and I'm guilty of it myself. I play PlayStation a lot, but of course, I don't let it get to me. But you ain't kidding about that.
Yeah, I have 3 young kids, and I asked them to go fly with me. They go, "No, I'd rather stay home." And I know what they want to do. They want to play Fortnite and Roblox.
Yeah, it's just lack of interest. I mean, a lot of it is lack of interest, and also when they do get involved with it, I mean, no offense or anything, but when they do get involved with it, they only go electric, and they want to fly the little bitty small stuff, and way back, even as early in the 90s and all that, the trainer that you flew with was a box wing with a 40 size engine in it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some technical know-how. You had to learn it, but it's very rewarding and it was good for mathematics and learning stuff like that. These days, it's
buy and fly.
Yeah, buy and fly.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to build anymore.
That's why I scratch build anymore. I mean, it's hard to find kits and kits that are worth. I mean, I don't know. I prefer scratch build.
Oh yeah, scratch build is great, especially if you got an area to do it. you know, it's to see. My problem is I love to build, but my problem is right now having a place to go because, you know, of course, you heard last time I had the storm tear my house up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lost my shop, so I have no shop to build in right now.
Yeah, you
So-
were fine for them damn storms coming across there that hit Alabama, wasn't it? There by Birmingham, that would have came straight towards you, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, the storms came in, and a tornado came real close to us around here, but it was a little small one. And of course, I was at work at the time when it happened, and I was down there, and they had another little tornado down in Macon, another one.
Yeah.
And it tore and it wiped out the house of one of my coworkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
talking about it, and then I seen that where it killed them people in Alabama and stuff, and I'm like, well, damn, that's coming right at you again. Didn't know.
Yeah, I was sweating. And I was like, oh no, here we go again. Says they come in and suck me up. Me and it's. I don't want to go to Oz because me and the wizard are going to have a fight if we do. So.
Oh well,
Yeah,
I wonder what happened to Mike. I guess he looked like his battery died or something. He just
it probably did.
Yeah, he went quick and he was gone.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, guys, I'm about done.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah,
why don't we
enjoyed
call
it.
it a night, and we'll gather back here Friday.
Yeah,
And,
we'll come in Friday. Yeah, come Friday. Maybe I'll show the prop rod and everything. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and enjoyed having you tonight. Everybody else, thanks a lot. And all you tubers out there, we appreciate y'all too. We got 13 people watching us now out there. So thanks, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And everybody have a good week. And I'll try to get out in the shop and have some more to talk about when we get back. I'll cut some shit up with my new saw anyway.
Yeah.
I can find some cutoff wheels. I should be able to I think I can get a 2-inch cutoff wheel with a 3/8-inch arbor hole in it.
You might be able to. You should be able to.
I could always get one with a smaller hole and make the hole bigger, but that's probably not safe.
Yeah, well, and plus you got to get you got to make sure you don't burr it up too bad too. So
yeah,
you don't want to.
If I turn that blade around backwards, do you think it would be better for cutting metal? I don't know. I'll just have to experiment with it.
Well, yeah, you have to. That blade you got on it right now, if it's a fine tooth blade, it kind of like a hacksaw blade, kind of feel like a hacksaw. It might already cut it. It might do all right with brass.
Maybe it looks like. Let's see. It looks like it must be about 20 teeth per inch or something. Maybe even more than that.
Yeah, but it's brass, it's a softer metal. So the only thing you can do is try it. I mean, you can try cutting a little tube with it or something and see how it cuts. It might do fine.
Yeah, I want to know if it'll cut bolts. I'll find that out if I got one eye when I come back on Friday. Hey, Gerald Wimmer says good night, everybody. First he says hello. Oh, he says hello, Otto here. Afraid we have same problem here too. Kids just want to go home and play games. Yeah, Otto, thanks for chiming in from the younger crowd. I'm glad you guys are out there doing something that is more intellectual. So, everybody, good night, man. We'll see y'all.
Good night.
See y'all Friday.
Good night. I enjoyed it.
All right, signing off in 3, 2, 1.
Click.